This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate what if Naruto was raised by Minato. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Kushina, said Minato, I just wanted you to know that I've always loved you and I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me for what I'm about to do. Minato, you don't have to do this. I'll drag him back inside of me and take him to the grave with me, replied Kushina. No, Kushina, that would only be temporary. He would come back and it could be even more disastrous then. Besides, I don't want you to waste the last of your chakra because I'd like to incorporate it into the seal so that our son will someday be able to meet his mother. Minato replied with a heavy heart. As Minato started racing through hand seals, Kushina agreed with him and didn't bring up the subject further. Meanwhile, Konoha's outskirts at maximum speed, Hiruzen and another group of shinobi were racing to the location where Minato had teleported. Don't do anything careless, Minato. I hope it's not too late already. As they quickened their pace, Hiruzen yelled, Faster everyone, we don't have much time. He heard Minato shout the words he hoped he would never hear as they leapt into the clearing where they could see the Kyuubi. Minato is back. Dead demon consuming seal. Minato faced the Kyuubi while the death god materialized behind him, a ghostly image of himself hanging from the death god's chains. I'm sorry, Kushina-chan, Minato said, glancing at Kushina. Minato no. Minato heard his advisor, the former Hokage, shout in a voice he recognized. Hiruzen. Sama, said Minato. Please take care of Naruto and make sure he is seen as the hero that he truly is. This is what it takes to save the village and it's a responsibility that I chose to shoulder as the fourth Hokage of Konoha. After hearing this, the third Hokage began rushing through a series of hand seals and exclaimed, Sealing technique. Replacement of a damned soul. Minato calmly said, Seal, while simultaneously staring down the fox as its soul was dragged through his own. Everyone was surprised by what came next. Minato was shocked to see that a dark blue stream was flowing from Hiruzen to the death god as the death god absorbed the Kyuubi, instead of his own soul being drawn out. Hiruzen, what is this? It's a technique I developed some time ago, though I honestly hoped I'd never be forced to use it. It allows me to feed my soul to the death god in your place. Minato stammered, but, no buts Minato.kun, you're still young and have a newborn child to see too. I've lived a long life with no regrets and it's better for me to carry this burden than you. Minato's eyes began to well up with tears as he looked down. Don't shed tears for me Minato.kun, I'm happy to give my life in place of yours. Now Minato, finish the 8 trigrams seal. As he applied the 8 trigrams sealing technique to infant Naruto, Minato obeyed. Thank you Hiruzen, for giving me a chance to raise my son. I am forever in debt to you. I can seal a portion of your chakra along with Kushina's into the 8 trigrams seal if you would like, so that one day my son may meet the savior of the shinobi world. Yes, I would appreciate that. Thank you Minato, good luck on your future endeavors, you've always been a good Hokage and I trust that you will keep our village safe and prosperous. Minato was left alone with his dying wife and his newborn son after the death god, Hiruzen, and Kyuubi vanished. I will be forever appreciative of this Hiruzen. When Sandame's fellow shinobi showed up, they shunned the group and sent them to the hospital. Despite the efforts of the best medical professionals, Minato sat by his wife's side as she gradually deteriorated. I sincerely apologize for not being able to keep you safe, Kushina-chan. In order for our little Naruto.kun to have one of his parents, I was at least spared. I will always remember you because I love you. That evening, Hokage Tower. My fellow villagers, Minato said after giving his words considerable thought. Tonight, as you all know, our village was attacked by the Kyuubi no Kitsune. He was under the control of a masked man whose identity is unknown as of this time. I managed to strip his control of the Kyuubi, and performed the dead demon consuming seal on it, which was supposed to forfeit my own life in order to seal it away. However, as I completed the ritual and the death god started to remove my soul, our beloved third Hokage switched places with me, making himself the payment for the death god's service. We lost several of our shinobi brethren tonight, the third Hokage and my wife Kushina Namikaze included. The Kyuubi, however, has been defeated. You can all go home and rest with ease tonight. We will have a further meeting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Later, in the office of the Hokage my first son was born, an unidentified masked man who seemed unstoppable attacked the village with the Kyuubi he had freed from my wife. I lost the woman I loved more than life itself, and Hiruzen gave his life so that I could live to raise my son. I can't believe what has happened tonight. Kushina, I sincerely apologize for disappointing you. I pray that you will always keep an eye on us and find it in your heart to forgive me. Hiruzen, as your Hokage's successor, I also disappoint you tonight. I never intended for you to experience this. I was the one who was supposed to have sacrificed myself to the death god. As he sat there looking out the window of his office at the partially ruined village, Minato sighed to himself. The door was abruptly knocked on. Minato said, "Enter." Kakashi Hitaki entered as the door opened. "What is it that you needed, Kakashi-kun?" Kakashi came over and sat in front of the desk next to Minato, saying, "I just wanted to come by and talk, sensei." While everyone else grieved their losses in their own ways, Kakashi and Minato spent a few hours sitting at the desk discussing what had happened. 6 a.m. the following morning, as he reflected on what had happened the previous evening, Minato heard a knock on the door of the Hokage's office and said, "Enter." A man wearing a black Anbu dress with a tanto strapped across his lower back and a dog mask covering his face was visible when the door opened. They said, "Hello, Kakashi-kun," to Minato. Bowed to Minato, Kakashi entered and said, "Hokage Sama, I have the final report from the attack last night ready for you." Minato turned to face the window and said, "Thank you, Kakashi. Could you please assemble a group of your finest men and send them to me? I would like them to find Tsunade Hime for me." Kakashi said, "Yes, Hokage Sama," and then vanished into a flurry of leaves. A tiny toad emerged in a puff of smoke as Minato bit his thumb, went through some hand seals, and then slammed his hand onto the desk. "Can you go to Jiraiya and have him return to the village as soon as possible, please?" The toad said, "Yes, sir," before vanishing in a puff of smoke. As he read the report that Kakashi had given him, Minato reflected on the number of people killed and lamented, "This is awful, but it could have been far worse had Hiruzen and myself not acted so quickly." After 2 hours, atop the Hokage Tower, citizens and shinobi of Konoha, I know that now is a time of great sadness and grieving for those lost in the attack. As of right now, there is an estimated 1,200 dead and 2,300 more wounded during the Kyuubi's rampage. We all lost someone close to us during this attack, and as hard as it may be, we will have to pull together as a village to rebuild ourselves so as to not disgrace the ones we lost, Minato said, standing atop the tower with Anbu shinobi on either side of him and the village elders behind him. "Tomorrow we will begin our reconstruction of the village. As for today, you are dismissed." After a week while the Anbu squad was out looking for Tsunade and Minato was going over different reports, the village reconstruction was well underway, with everyone pitching in and carrying their share of the load. Minato had a lot of guests come and go during the week for various reasons, so it was not shocking when the door was knocked on again. "You may enter," Minato said. Kakashi entered the room and gave the Hokage a bow. "Hokage Sama, I just received word that the team of Anbu you dispatched has found Tsunade Sama and are currently en route from the southeastern edge of the Fire Country." As Kakashi bowed and turned away, Minato said, "Thank you, Kakashi." As he went to retrieve Naruto from his crib and take a walk around the village to see how things were going, Minato thought to himself, "I need to take a break. I think I'll take Naruto on a walk around the village." After 3 days, Minato, Naruto, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune were present. Shizune stood next to Tsunade, while Jiraiya and Tsunade sat across from Minato, who was seated behind the desk. "I'm sorry to hear of what happened, Minato. I caught word of the attack and started this way as soon as I heard, though I'm sure there is plenty more to be heard," Jiraiya said while enjoying his sake. Tsunade began by drinking from her cup. "Likewise for me, Minato, I heard a rumor of an attack on Konoha and started traveling this way. The rumors were proven true when the Anbu squad caught up with me and said you requested our presence here." "Yay," said Minato as he drank some water for his own sake. "I'm sorry about the loss of your sensei. It was never meant to happen that way. I was supposed to be the one took by the death god, but Hiruzen willingly sacrificed himself so that I could carry on and raise my son." "Don't worry, Minato, you know this is the way sensei would have wanted it," Jiraiya replied. "Perhaps you are right, but I can't help but feel bad about it." "It's okay, Minato, this is the way the old man would have wanted things to go." "Yay, so," Jiraiya said, "when can we see baby Naruto?" "I'll go get him now." As he picked up Naruto and returned to his office with his companion, Minato walked next door, bowed to the young woman caring for him, and thanked her. Minato placed the infant on the desk so that Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune could see it, and they all grinned. Glancing up, Jiraiya remarked, "Well, I'll be, the kid looks just like his father." As she tickled his stomach, Tsunade remarked, "He's even got your blonde hair." As Jiraiya and Tsunade smiled, Minato sheepishly rubbed the back of his head and remarked, "Haha yay, I hope he acts more like me too, instead of taking his mother's fearsome temper." Minato adopted a more solemn manner and chose to ask Tsunade for a favor after the four of them had been conversing for some time. "Jiraiya, Shizune, Would you mind giving myself and Tsunade a moment alone? I need to speak to her personally for a moment, said Minato. Jiraiya stood up to leave the room, saying, sure thing, I'm gonna go check out the village and see how everything is coming along. I'll see you later, Minato. Shizune said, yes, Hokage. Sama. She then stood up to go. With a slightly apprehensive expression, Minato said, so, Tsunade, I have a favor I'd like to ask of you. What is it that you need, Minato? Well, I don't really know how to go about this. Just spit it out already. Well, Tsunade, since I lost Kushina-chan, I think Naruto needs a woman figure in his life as he grows. Go on, Tsunade said inquisitively. I suppose I'm asking if you'll stay in the village and act as a sort of nanny to help me raise him. I don't know, that's a big responsibility, Minato. I'll have to have some time to think about that if you don't mind. Of course, take your time, please just give it some consideration, said Minato. Tsunade then went to the bar to reflect on everything Minato had just said. Just minutes ago, with Jiraiya and Shizune. So what do you think, Minato? Sama wants with Tsunade? Asked Shizune. Beats me, maybe some political talk, I never was good with that kind of stuff, Jiraiya replied. As she left, Shizune said, yeah, you're probably right, I'll see you around. Jiraiya said, see ya, as he departed as well. 20 minutes after she left Minato's office, she was with Tsunade. Tsunade was enjoying a cup of sake at a table in the bar as she thought back on what Minato had said to her earlier. It's unbelievable that he picked me to be Naruto's nanny, out of everyone. Does he truly believe that I'm the best option? I can't raise a child because I'm just a gambling addict and alcoholic? Instead of me, Shizune would be a better option. Perhaps I ought to speak with her later. Oh well, I'm just going to unwind and clear my head for the time being. Shizune happened to approach Tsunade and take a seat while she was sitting there sipping sake and decompressing. Well, Shizune, I was just about to come find you. Need something? Replied Tsunade. No, I was just wondering what Minato-sama said to you earlier and I knew I could find you here, Shizune replied. Well, actually, that's what I was going to find you for. Minato asked me if I would be Naruto's nanny, and I just don't know, admitted Tsunade. Shizune remarked, Milady, you'd make a wonderful mother. Plus, I'd love to have a little brother. After giving it some thought, Tsunade remarked, I don't know, Shizune, I just don't think I'm the right choice. Yes, you are. Do you think Minato-sama would have asked you if you weren't? Well, you're right, Shizune, do you truly believe that? Yes, of course I do, Milady. I'll at least give it some thought. I still have to give it some more thought. Just consider it, of course. Shizune said, I'll see you later, and stood up to go. The Hokage's office the following day. There was a knock on the door as Minato sat at his desk finishing up some more paperwork. Minato commanded, enter, as Tsunade entered. So, Tsunade, have you given what I said any thought? Yes, that's what I came here for, I'll do it. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means to me, Minato said, getting to his feet and bowing to her. I wonder what they're discussing in there. An enigmatic voice spoke outside the window. As he turned to go down the wall, the voice said, I guess I'll know when the time is right. However, he was confronted by the Hokage himself. Are Jiraiya spying on the Hokage? Minato grinned as she said. As Minato's perspiration stopped, Jiraiya said, Well, I was, yes. Great excuse, sensei, come on and I have some good news. Jiraiya turned around and crawled through the window as Minato exploded into a cloud of smoke. You idiot, Jiraiya, you have no idea how to operate a door, Tsunade yelled as she moved to strike him. No, in any case, Minato, what news do you have for me? Well, yesterday I asked Tsunade if she would act as a nanny for Naruto, since he needs a woman's influence. Tsunade, what did you say? Jiraiya asked. I said that I would do it. With a seductive smile, Jiraiya said, Well, it looks like the legendary sucker is finally getting married. Too bad it's not me. I thought we had something special. A pervert. As Tsunade punched Jiraiya out the window, Minato and Tsunade simultaneously yelled. In the village somewhere else. When a person suddenly crashed in front of Shizune, who was carrying a grocery bag, she said, When will you ever learn, Jiraiya? Without even turning to face the individual. Never. The work of the super pervert never ends, Jiraiya yelled, leaping to his feet and giving a thumbs up. When Jiraiya began to make her way back to the Hokage Tower, Shizune simply stopped perspiring. Are you prepared to begin your actual ninja training, Naruto? Minato smiled down at Naruto, who was now 6 years old, and asked. Naruto was wearing blue shorts, an orange tee, shirt, and blue ninja sandals, just like any other 6-year-old. Obviously, Dad. If I want to surpass you and succeed you as Hokage, I must begin early. Don't get ahead of yourself, Naruto. It's still a long way off. Minato pointed to a tree over his shoulder and said, "Now, what I want you to do is climb this tree." "How is the ninja training, though, Dad?" "You have to climb it without using your hands, Naruto." "How can I accomplish that?" As Naruto watched in wonder, Minato approached the tree and began to climb its side. "Hey, Dad, how do you do that?" said Naruto, grinning and wide-eyed. "All you need to do to stick is direct your chakra toward your feet. Try it out." Naruto approached the tree and began climbing, reaching about halfway up before he stumbled and fell back into Minato's arms, which were waiting for him. "Naruto, that was excellent. Most people don't make it that far on their first attempt. See how you do after giving it another go." To his surprise, Naruto started climbing the tree again and made it all the way to the top this time. He has the biggest reserves of any person I've ever seen his age, and he also has excellent control, so it appears that the books and little exercises we had him do have paid off. He will eventually make a fine shinobi. "Look, Dad, I succeeded." Naruto said this as he began to circle the tree's trunk repeatedly. Minato smiled and said, "Very good, Naruto, I'm very proud of you. Come on down, I have a new exercise for you." After leaping from the tree, Naruto approached his father and exclaimed, "What's up, Dad? Will I get to learn a really cool new jutsu?" "Not yet, Naruto, but I swear it will be soon. I want you to attempt walking on top of this pond now that you've mastered the tree walking so quickly." "How can I accomplish that?" "Well, it's the same basic theory as tree climbing, except the water is constantly changing, so you have to adjust your flow of chakra as such." "I believe I understand. Can I give it a try now, Dad?" "Go ahead, son." After taking a few steps out onto the water before falling through, Naruto leapt back up and out of the water as his father remarked, "Naruto, you did good again." Naruto pouted, "But I only made it 3 steps out into the water." "Don't worry, son. Water walking is a problem for most high-level genin. You outperformed me on my first attempt." "Really? I suppose all I need to do is keep working, and I'll soon be the Hokage." "Son, you're doing fantastically, but you're still a long way from replacing your old man. Why don't you attempt it again?" Over the course of the following hour or so, Naruto continued to walk out into the water and repeatedly fall in, but he gradually improved until he was able to run, jump, and walk on the water's surface. "Well done, Naruto. How about we take a lunch break?" Minato said. "All right, Dad, let's go." As he caught Minato by the waist and they vanished in a burst of yellow light, Naruto said, "Dad, you need to show me how to do that." As they resurfaced in front of their preferred ramen stand, Naruto uttered those words. As they entered and took a seat at the counter, Minato grinned and said, "I will one day, son, don't get ahead of yourself." "Is there anything I can get you today?" A young girl, perhaps 10 years old, said. Minato said, "We'll have the normal Ayame." As she entered the back, Ayame said, "Okay, it'll be right out." After a short while, an elderly man in his late 30s emerged from the rear carrying 4 bowls of ramen. "How is today going for my favorite clients?" As he sat down to eat the ramen, the man said, "Mr. Ichiraku, we're doing fantastic. I'm finally beginning my ninja training with my dad," Naruto said. "I'm glad to hear that you're not treating the boy harshly. Are you Hokage, Sama?" "You know you don't have to call me Hokage. I've been coming here since I was a kid, Tucci." "Yes, but do you recall that you weren't the Hokage at the time?" The man, who is now known as Tucci Ichiraku, said. "No, I wasn't, but you can still just call me Minato." "If you insist." "Tucci, thank you." As he placed some cash on the counter, Minato remarked, "We had better get moving and resume the training." "Mr. Ichiraku, see you later," Naruto remarked as they vanished in a flash. "Now, Dad, what are we going to do?" Naruto said as he reappeared at the training area. "To find out your elemental affinity, how would you like to proceed?" Affinity for elements. Yes, in order to perform various jutsu, a chakra can be transformed into one of 5 different types. Without the affinity for that element, you can still perform a jutsu, but it will be weaker and require more chakra than someone with the affinity. Each nation specializes in one of the 5 affinities: fire, wind, water, lightning, and earth, though all can exist. Since we live in a fire country, for example, there are many people who use fire, but there are also other types, such as me, who uses wind. The majority of people start with 1 or 2 components, but as they age, they can strive to acquire more. People rarely have 3 or more affinities at birth. How can I tell what kind of person I am? Minato handed Naruto a card that he had taken from his pocket. All you have to do is channel your chakra into this card and it will tell you. Minato was shocked when Naruto used his chakra to split the card in half, causing one side to crinkle up and the other to get soggy wet. Wow Naruto, Minato exclaimed, stunned. Dad, what is it? Recall that I mentioned having 3 affinities was uncommon? Yes, but what was written on my card? You have affinities for lightning, water, and wind. That's incredible, Naruto. As the Hokage, I only possess 4 affinities. How is your father doing? Well, wind was my primary. As a Chunin, I acquired water, and a few years ago, I acquired lightning. I had an affinity for fire shortly after I became a genin. Dad, you're the greatest. Not really, son. You already possess 3 elements at the age of 5, and if I'm not mistaken, your Kyuubi will enable you to use fire as well, making you nearly as proficient in that area as I am, Minato thought. How about I teach you a jutsu now, Naruto? Really? Yes, I believe you're already prepared. It is referred to as Shadow Clone Jutsu. A Shadow Clone? That sounds fantastic. Though it is a forbidden technique that most Junin cannot use effectively, it is a very useful jutsu, son. However, given your chakra reserves, I believe everything will work out. I'm teaching it to you so early because, if my theory is right, it might also be a useful training aid. Dad, do you truly believe I'm ready? Yes I do, son. You did really well this past year on all of the smaller things, so you've earned it. Nice. What am I supposed to do? Just focus your chakra on creating duplicates of yourself while performing the cross. Hand seal. You must now exercise caution because creating more than a few clones requires a lot of chakra, which is why many Junin are unable to perform this jutsu. Feel free to try it out. For a brief moment, Naruto focused with his hands inside the seal, and then Minato was completely taken aback by what transpired. There were nearly 1,000 Naruto clones in front of him. Wow son, you have surprised me again. Did I make a mistake? Oh no, this is fantastic. Of course not. You don't even appear worn out, and you possess the chakra to create 1,000 clones. That's a good thing, then. Yes, I don't even think I could make 1,000 clones, son. Really, wow. Dad, your job is getting closer every day, Naruto said, laughing. How about we go see what your friend Shikamaru is up to and take the rest of the day off? Nice. Once more, they vanished in a burst of light and resurfaced just outside the Nara compound. As they approached to knock on the door of the compound's main house, it opened, and Shikaku Nara emerged. Ah Minato. What do you need? No, we only stopped by to check if Shikamaru could perform. Sure, I think he is out back. Go ahead Naruto. Thank you. As he dashed off in the direction of the backyard, Naruto said. How is your day going, Naruto? A young man of Naruto's age, wearing black pants, a mesh shirt, a tan coat over it, and black hair tied up in a pineapple shape, said. I'm doing well. My dad and I recently completed some training. How about you? We just finished training too. It was so troublesome. Look at the bright side. If you train hard you'll be a good shinobi one day. I'd rather just watch the clouds go by. Shikamaru, you're incredibly lazy. What about playing shugi? Shikamaru grinned as he hurried inside to retrieve the game board and said, troublesome. Shikaku and Minato inside. 1,000 clones? Really? You've got yourself a handful, Minato. When he grows up, he will be exactly like you. Yay, it makes me proud as a dad that my son shows such potential, but you can't act like Shikamaru isn't just like you too. Yay, you're right about that. He's not the strongest but he sure is bright. Like father like son. Yay, you're spot on there. At the Namikaze residence later that evening, while Naruto was in his room studying some scrolls, Minato was in his study going over some of them. After preparing dinner, Tsunade was preparing the table. Minato, Naruto, Jiraiya, supper is done. He was just a hair faster than the scurrying Naruto who found his spot, but a yellow flash appeared at the head of the table as soon as she said that. It's frightening how similar they are, Tsunade thought, laughing to herself. They all began eating when Jiraiya came down the stairs a moment later and took his seat at the table. Approximately a year later, Naruto began to crawl out of bed when he was awakened by the familiar buzzing of his alarm clock. After showering, he started to descend the stairs to eat breakfast before leaving for training, but his father appeared at the bottom and greeted him, saying, "Happy birthday, Naruto." As his father always does, Naruto rubbed the back of his head and said, "Oh yeah, I forgot it was my birthday today." As Tsunade laughed, Jiraiya's perspiration fell in the kitchen. "So, what's it like to be a year older, son?" Minato grinned as she spoke. Naruto grinned and remarked, "I'm another year closer to taking your job, Dad." Well, for now, how about some breakfast, and in a few years, Hokage? Sounds like a plan to me, Dad. Minato and Jiraiya exchanged glances and nods as they sat around the table and began to eat. So, for your birthday, Naruto, how about I teach you a new jutsu? Really? What is jutsu? Naruto exclaimed, beaming from ear to ear. Minato's smile said, you'll see. All right, when do we begin? I have some work to do at the office after breakfast, but Jiraiya will start you off, and I'll join you when I'm done, okay? Yes. After finishing their breakfast, Jiraiya and Naruto strolled back to the training area, while Minato vanished into the Hokage Tower. Uncle Jiraiya, what kind of jutsu are you going to teach me? It's called the Rasengan, your father's own creation. Nice. Where should I begin? You are already aware of nature and shape manipulation, correct? The ultimate shape manipulation tool is the Rasengan. Even though it isn't fully developed yet, it is still a very strong jutsu. How is it lacking something? Your father created the jutsu, as I mentioned. He is still working on perfecting his plans to incorporate nature manipulation into the Rasengan, which took him 3 years to defeat. I understand. I might be able to beat him to it if I figure it out, Naruto said, leaping up and down. You kid, aren't you setting a big goal for yourself? Of course, the Hokage has to be the best in the village, so I'm starting now. Jiraiya pulled out a water balloon and threw it to Naruto, saying, okay then, sounds good to me. He instructed Naruto to gather his chakra inside the balloon and spin it to cause it to burst. It took your dad 3 years to make, and it took me a full year to learn from him, so don't be upset if it takes a while. Naruto said, okay, as he began to rotate the chakra in his hand. Naruto persisted for roughly 2 hours before the balloon began to twist, swell, and eventually burst. Naruto, you did a fantastic job. You completed the first step in just 2 hours. I took weeks to burst the bubble. Nice, what comes next? Minato emerged from the house at that moment. How are things going? Dad, I've already completed the first step. Really? Naruto, good job. Will you show me? Jiraiya threw Naruto another balloon, which burst in his hand within a few seconds. Well done, son. Are you prepared to move on to the next phase? Yes. All right, then you'll have to treat this rubber ball in the same manner. You'll need to use more chakra while maintaining the same rotation in order to pop the rubber ball. Once more, Jiraiya threw a rubber ball to Naruto, who attempted to pop it for several hours before Minato intervened and decided to take a lunch break. After finishing, they hurried back outside and resumed their work, and a few hours later, Naruto detonated the rubber ball. Well done, son. By the end of the day, you'll have it down at this pace. Let's watch it once more. After Minato tossed Naruto another ball, it exploded in his hand in a matter of seconds. All right, son, are you prepared for the final step? Yay. All right, you have to combine steps 1 and 2 this time. In order to keep the form good enough to prevent the balloon from popping, you must spin it while pumping a lot of chakra into it. With a, okay, response, Naruto accepted a balloon from Jiraiya. Once more, Naruto worked on the last step for several hours straight. They made the decision to end the day when it finally grew dark. Good job today, Naruto. You made it farther today than I expected. Maybe tomorrow you can finish up. As Naruto entered the house to have dinner and practice his medical jutsu with Tsunade, he said, okay, Dad. Later that evening, Jiraiya and Minato sat in Minato's study conversing while Naruto slept upstairs. I can't believe he got that far on his first day, replied Minato. You're telling me? It took you 3 years to develop and a year for you to teach me, Jiraiya replied. Yay, Naruto is special. He is going to be a great ninja one day. Yay, and he has his goals set high already. He wants to be the Hokage, and he said he wants to beat you to adding his nature to the Rasengan. Well, I really think both of those dreams will come true. If he works hard, he could add his element to the Rasengan in just a few days, I'm sure. Would you keep working with him while I'm at the office? Jiraiya laughed and said, of course, we'll have the Rasengan finished before you get home tomorrow. Minato said, thanks sensei, on the training field the following morning. Jiraiya handed Naruto another balloon and said, okay, Naruto, let's try again. After popping one balloon after another for the next hour, Naruto eventually managed to get the balloon to swell up without popping. When the balloon burst in Naruto's hand, Jiraiya grinned and said, Naruto. All right, we'll work on that now. We know you can do it, but you need to be able to maintain it even if you're distracted. Okay. Jiraiya threw a rock at Naruto, who messed up and popped the balloon after taking it and filling it with chakra. Naruto was doing well at this point. See kid, you've got to concentrate even in the heat of battle to form techniques, so you'll have to do this while being pelted with rocks. Jiraiya grinned evilly. As Jiraiya threw rocks at him, Naruto spent the next 2 hours creating the incomplete Rasengan. Soon after, he had it going while running and avoiding the rocks. Good job Naruto, now all 3 steps are done, you have to do it without the balloon. After avoiding rocks and forming the Rasengan without the balloon for a while, Naruto managed to create a flawless Rasengan after 2 more hours. Good kid, now take and push the Rasengan into that tree and see what happens. To his surprise, splinters and leaves flew everywhere after Naruto created a Rasengan and crashed it into a tree in the backyard. Whoa, did I just do that? Yep, you've mastered the Rasengan kid. Minato suddenly materialized next to Naruto and turned to face the chaos in the yard. You seem to have it worked out. Well done, Naruto. Let's celebrate by going out to lunch. Yes. Minato, Jiraiya, and Naruto vanished in an instant after that. After learning the Rasengan, Naruto has been training himself to add one of his elements to it for the past year or so. He has also been studying medical jutsu with Tsunade and sealing with Jiraiya, as well as other taijutsu and ninjutsu with his father. Hey Naruto. How are you? Sasuke said this as they gathered in front of Ichiraku's for lunch. Sasuke, who had jet black hair and eyes like Uchiha, was wearing khaki shorts and a loose fitting blue shirt with the Uchiha crest on the back. As usual, I've been working out with Dad to perfect my Rasengan. What about you? Naruto said. I feel the same way. Dad and I have been practicing fire-style jutsu. I'm doing fairly well for being 8 years old, he says. Well, after lunch, how about we spar if you're that good? With a smile, Naruto said. Sasuke grinned and said, of course, as long as you promise not to cry like a baby. Now Sasuke, don't talk about yourself like that, I won't hurt you too bad. Sure, whatever you say Naruto. Subsequently, Naruto and Sasuke paid for their meals and made their way back to Naruto's house for their spar. Minato said, hey Naruto, what's going on? Would you like to watch Dad as Sasuke and I spar? As Naruto and Sasuke walked out back, Minato said, sure, I'll be out in just a minute. Naruto, are you certain you don't want to give up before I make you look foolish? Well, I was going to pose the same query to you. Are you ready? Set. Sasuke said. Leave, as they charged at one another, both boys exclaimed. As Sasuke began a series of hand seals, Naruto ducked under the attack and jumped back to gain some distance. Naruto ran in and swept low at Sasuke's feet, but he jumped over the kick and launched his own kick towards Naruto's head. Fireball Jutsu is the fire release. As he exhaled a ball of fire at Naruto, Sasuke yelled. Water bullet. Water release. In response to Sasuke's fireball, Naruto spat out a ball of water. Naruto and Sasuke charged back at each other once more as the attacks subsided, but Sasuke went on the attack this time. I got you this time, yelled Sasuke as he did a spin kick to Naruto's face only to see Naruto grin and disappear in a cloud of smoke. Damn, where did he go? Sasuke turned just in time to witness Naruto complete a series of hand seals after hearing a noise behind him. Water style. Water prison jutsu. Naruto smiled and said, gotcha now Sasuke. Yay, I guess so, good job Naruto. You too Sasuke, I just got the upper hand this time. Walking up to them, Minato said, both of you did excellent, I think you'll make great shinobi someday soon. Thanks Dad. Thanks Namikaze. Sama. How about a fresh challenge, boys? Dad, what is it? Are you two sparring with me? Of course, both boys said, smiling as they turned to face one another. All right, go, Minato said as he vanished in a burst of yellow. Running through hand seals, Minato flashed out in front of the two and reappeared right behind them, swinging a kick at them both. The boys ducked under the kick and ran across the yard separately, finishing the seals as soon as they touched the ground and shouting, Fireball Jutsu. And, wind style. Fantastic innovation. Well, I have to say I'm proud of you too, that's good teamwork, but not good enough for me yet. Minato said as he performed the cross. Handseal and two clones appeared beside him. How about this? Minato simply smiled and flashed away to the other side of the field behind the two boys as Naruto's wind and Sasuke's fire combined to create an attack that doubled in size and intensified as it headed straight for him. Vacuum bullets for wind release. As he started firing off wind bullets at the two, who were dodging them well, however they didn't notice that they were being corralled into Minato's clones who had teleported to the other side of the field. Water release. Water prison jutsu. As they imprisoned Naruto and Sasuke in different balls of water, the two clones simultaneously uttered these words. Minato was interrupted by a ball of water and said, "Good job again, boys. You did better than I thought. You're not even Genin yet and I'm the Hokage, so you should be proud of yourselves." When the real Naruto emerged in front of him, he turned to see 3 Naruto clones holding the jutsu. "Come on, Dad. You taught me never to let my guard down until the battle was over, didn't you?" "Hee, I suppose you're correct. Naruto, you got me this time." When Minato dispelled his clones that were holding the water prisons, he exclaimed, "I'm proud of you too." To his surprise, Naruto and Sasuke also dispelled. "So they were both clones?" As he leapt from a tree, Sasuke said, "Yep, we had a backup plan." Naruto then expelled his 3 clones in the water prison, releasing Minato, who grinned as he got back up. "One day, those 2 will be more powerful than I am. I suppose it's true that the younger generation always outperforms the older one." He quickly vanished after saying, "Again, good job boys, but I've got some work to do at the office, see you for dinner son." "What are you going to do now, Naruto?" Sasuke inquired. "Well, I think I'm going to work on my Rasengan some more. I'm close to adding my wind element to it already." "Is there anything I can do to assist?" "Not at this time. There is still a lot of theory and practice to be done. In any case, thanks." Sasuke said, "Okay, then I'll see you later, Naruto," and left. See ya. Naruto continued to work on his Rasengan until nightfall, but he didn't feel like he had made much progress. Tsunade yelled, "Supper is ready, come eat." As night fell. After that, Naruto hurried inside for some food and then worked with Jiraiya and Tsunade on his studies until bedtime. "Ah, good morning, Kakashi," said Minato as Naruto woke up the following morning and went to the training ground with his father and Jiraiya to practice some of his other jutsu. When they got outside, he saw a man wearing leaf and gear without a mask, with silver hair, a headband pulled over one eye, and a mask covering his neck all the way up to his eyes. A man now known as Kakashi said, "Morning sensei." "Naruto, this is Kakashi Hitaki. I was his team's Jonin instructor when they were Genin," Minato replied. After bowing to Kakashi, Naruto greeted him with, "Good morning, Kakashi-san." "Hello Naruto, I am here to teach you a little about lightning-style jutsu today." "I appreciate it, Kakashi-san, but tell me why you came out. Was Dad not able to teach me?" "Well son, I have some things I have to get done at the office, and plus, Kakashi is one of the best lightning user in the village, and a general ninjutsu specialist." "Wow, even superior to you, Dad," Naruto exclaimed, amazed that someone was superior to his father. "Yep, Kakashi is one of the most respected Jonin in the world, so I thought I'd get him to help you out." "Thank you very much, Dad, Kakashi." "Sensei," Minato said, "see you later, Naruto." He vanished in an instant. "Are you prepared to start, Naruto?" "Yes, sir." "All right, so today I'd like to demonstrate a jutsu that I made up based on your father's Rasengan. The Chidori is the name of it." Then, as he slowly went over the hand seals so Naruto could copy them, Kakashi said, "Now watch my hands to get the seals." "Chidori," he said, as Naruto heard a noise that sounded like 1,000 birds chirping at once, and Kakashi's hand covered in lightning, dancing wildly around. "Naruto, this jutsu is classified as a close-range assassination technique. This jutsu is supposed to happen fast and finish the task before they can react, even with the noise. I think it will still be useful even though you won't be able to use it as much as I can because you don't have the Sharingan. Watch." Then, in a blur, Kakashi ran to a tree and pushed his hand through it, causing the trunk to explode in a shower of splinters. "How awesome is that jutsu, Kakashi, Sensei?" Naruto said. "As I mentioned earlier, you won't be able to fully utilize it without the Sharingan because you have to stay relatively motionless to avoid tunnel vision. However, it will continue to work." "How is the Sharingan beneficial?" "Well, back up to the other side of the yard and form the Chidori and come at me wide open." Before performing the hand seals, Naruto ran across the yard from Kakashi. As lightning began to dance around his hand, he heard the sound of birds chirping, which was familiar to him but much louder than when Kakashi used it. "Naruto, Sensei, what is it? That's your Chidori." At the Tower of Hokage, a knock on the door interrupted Minato as he was going over mission reports at his desk. "Enter." A tiny pug wearing a leaf headband was visible when the door opened. "Hokage Sama." "Yes, Pakun. Kakashi sent me to tell you that there is something you need to see back home. Everyone is okay, he just needs you to see something." Minato said, "Okay, let's go then." He quickly vanished after picking up Pakun. Minato reappeared in a flash of yellow, back at the training ground. "Minato. Sensei, sorry to bother you but I discovered something I think you should see." "What is it, Kakashi?" Naruto, Fire up a Chidori. The lightning began to leap around Naruto's hand and screech like 1,000 birds as he ran through the hand seals and exclaimed, Chidori. With a perplexed expression, Kakashi said, see what I meant? Yes, I don't know what to make of it myself. Is something wrong? Asked Naruto, who had begun to appear dejected. No son, there's nothing wrong, it's just that your lightning is rather special. Naruto asked, looking a little happier than before, special how? Kakashi made the hand seals and a Chidori formed around his hand, saying, well, Naruto, look at my Chidori. So what do you see different about mine? Well, they are different colors, and mine looks bigger and it is louder, right? As Naruto's and Kakashi's Chidori faded, Minato said, yes Naruto, I think we need to have a talk real quick. Minato then began to tell Naruto that in order to save the village, he needed to battle the Kyuubi and seal it inside of him. Naruto asked in confusion, so, I have the Kyuubi inside of me? Yes son, I had no choice, I hope you understand. Of course Dad, if I expect to be the Hokage that means I have to do whatever it takes to protect the village. That's very mature of you Naruto, I'm proud of you. Well, the point of all of this is that we think the Kyuubi's chakra may be influencing your lightning style. Notice how Kakashi's was a light blue color but yours was dark red? The Kyuubi has that color chakra. So what exactly does that mean Dad? Well, we don't know for sure right now, but I believe it will make your lightning style attacks much stronger than normal without drawing from your own reserves. So that's a good thing then, right? He pointed to a big tree a few yards away and said, yes, I think so. How about you try out your Chidori on that tree right there? Naruto exclaimed, okay, Chidori. As the demonic creature encircled his hand and lower arm, he ran toward the tree and struck its trunk with his hand, causing it to burst into a brilliant ball of red lightning. Minato and Kakashi gazed in wonder at what they saw after the smoke and light had subsided. A huge crater that was 50 feet long and 20 feet wide was smoking in front of Naruto, beginning at the tree he struck with his Chidori. Together, Minato and Kakashi exclaimed, wow. When Jiraiya saw the crater, he exclaimed, damn. What happened out here? As he dashed from the house to investigate what had shaken the walls. Kakashi said, a demon lightning Chidori. Jiraiya pointed to the crater and asked, Naruto did that? Yes, was what Kakashi and Minato said, after 3 months. Because of the damage to the target and the risky tunnel vision that Chidori causes when used at a great distance, Minato and Kakashi had warned Naruto about the destructive power of his Chidori and advised him not to use it unless absolutely necessary. As a result of his continued training, Naruto is now among the village's top seal masters and a medical ninja at the Chunin level. He doesn't treat anyone like they are beneath him because he knows that he still has work to do to improve. When he goes out, he has a sizable fangirl base in addition to a large number of friends. Since he will be starting at the Ninja Academy in 2 months, he is aware that the fangirl situation will only get worse. Naruto, are you exited to start at the academy in a couple of months? Replied Minato. Yes, I already know most of the stuff they are going to teach, but I'll enjoy the chance to be around my friends still. That's the spirit Naruto, I'm glad you see it that way. So, how about we start teaching you another jutsu since you're fixing to become a ninja? Sure Dad, what jutsu now? One of my personal creations, the Flying Thunder God. Wow, really, you think I'm ready for that one? Yes, but if you don't think you're ready then I guess we'll just have to. No, I think I'm ready. Thanks Dad. Thus, Naruto and Minato worked on the Flying Thunder God for the next 2 months. Naruto was able to use the Hiraishin about 2 weeks prior to the start of classes, but he was still learning how to use it. Though he wasn't as quick, he was able to teleport farther than his father, and his distance is improving. Minato noticed that, similar to his Chidori, Naruto vanished and then reappeared in a red flash rather than a yellow one. Naruto spent the next 2 weeks honing his various jutsu and seals, but he chose to temporarily stop practicing medic jutsu. Naruto's appearance also changed during this 2-month period. He wore gray pants with a red stripe down each leg and a gray t-shirt with red sleeves. His spiky yellow hair had grown out longer, nearly matching his father's. He had a coat that looked like his father's, but he didn't wear it until he graduated. The kanji for Konoha's red flash, rather than yellow flash, was on it, but it was exactly like Minato's long coat. Since tomorrow was the big day, Naruto went to bed early tonight. He arrived at the Ninja Academy on his first day. Naruto was excited for his first day of school and got up early today. As the family conversed as usual, he descended the stairs to join them for breakfast. Minato asked, "So son, are you ready for your first day of school?" "You betcha I am, Naruto, I'm proud of you. Today is your first day at the academy and you're already very strong. I'm glad it hasn't gone to your head. Jiraiya continued. Of course Uncle Jiraiya, I know I'm strong, but I'm nowhere near strong enough to protect the village and my loved ones yet. In every way, that boy is exactly like his father. Great things are in store for him, Jiraiya thought. Well Naruto-kun, I'm proud of you too. I've watched you over the years grow into a fine young man, Tsunade replied. Naruto grinned and said, thanks Aunt Tsunade. Well son, are you ready to go now? Yay! Naruto exclaimed, leaping to his feet and bolting out the door. With a little time to spare, Minato and Naruto strolled slowly toward the academy. They encountered Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji upon arriving at the academy, as well as their parents conversing with one another. Naruto said, Hey Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, what's up? All three of them simultaneously said, Hey Naruto. Shikaku smiled and said, Hello, Hokage. Sama, how are you today? Oh come on Shika, cut the Hokage crap. As you wish, Hokage. Sama, I only wish to show our children how to respect their superiors. With a slight smile on his face, Minato drew Shikaku closer and whispered, Keep it up and I'll be having a little talk with Yoshino about where you go every Wednesday. Leave her out of it Minato, that would be way too troublesome. Thank you. Minato said, How are you two today, Shuza and Inoichi? How are you doing, Minato? I'm doing great, said Inoichi. Great, I'm glad all of our kids get to start the academy at the same time. As am I Naruto, Shikamaru, and Ino are Choji's best friends, it will be good for all of them, Shuza replied. As the children wandered off and encountered Sasuke and Itachi, all of the parents lingered and chatted. Naruto said, Hey Sasuke, Itachi, what's up? Hello Naruto-kun. Itachi came out. Sasuke said, Hey Naruto, Shikamaru, Ino, Choji. Sup? Sasuke-kun. Naruto exclaimed, What the? As he vanished in a whirlpool of leaves, Itachi said, Haha, they found you little bro. Good luck, I'll see you later. Naruto asked, What is he talking about Sasuke? Naru-kun. Why are they hollering at me too? Damn it Naruto, the fangirls. Run! Exclaimed Sasuke, his eyes wide. Fangirls? As he began to flee, Sasuke said, Crazy little girls that think they love you, it's a bad deal man. When he finally caught up, Naruto asked, What's so bad about girls with a crush? They're like a mob man, they will eat us alive. When Naruto realized they were closing in on them, his eyes widened as well. Oh shit, Sasuke, hold on. Naruto exclaimed, grabbing Sasuke's shoulder before vanishing in a burst of color. Where's Sasuke-kun? And, where's Naru-kun? They all exclaimed as the fangirls gathered in the area where Naruto and Sasuke had just vanished. Hey! WHO cares about Naruto? Sasuke-kun is gone. Sasuke sucks, we have to find my Naru-kun. They erupted into a brawl, kicking up a huge cloud of dust while yelling and using profanity. As Naruto and Sasuke appeared next to him in a red flash, Shikamaru turned to face the girls, wondering how they managed to escape. At the same time, Shikamaru, Sasuke, Ino, and Choji exclaimed, What the? Naruto held up a tri-pronged kunai and said, Flying Thunder God. It's my dad's signature jutsu, like a clan technique sort of. It allows me to transport anywhere that mark or throw one of these special-made kunai. Sasuke smiled slightly and said, Naruto, that was a sweet move that just saved our asses. Look at what they're doing to each other. That's why we had to run. I see, Naruto said. Ino exclaimed, Whoa Naruto, that move is so cool. Naruto grinned and rubbed his neck, saying, Thanks Ino. Well, we are about to be late and that would be awfully troublesome. We should go on in now, Shikamaru replied. As they entered the building and made their way to their classroom, everyone said, Sure. One row was occupied by Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji, while the next row down was occupied by Naruto and Sasuke, who left a seat open next to each other. As the girls began knocking each other down in an attempt to reach the open seat, Naruto and Sasuke were turned around and chatting with the others when the voices, Naru-kun and Sasuke-kun erupted from the door. Beat it, he's mine! Exclaimed one of the red-dressed, long-haired girls as she pushed another girl aside and took a seat next to Sasuke. Shikamaru laughed at the experience, and Sasuke simply slammed his head down on the desk. A girl with white eyes and short lavender hair, wearing a cream-colored coat and blue ninja pants, pushed her way into the seat next to Naruto and exclaimed, Move it bitch, he belongs to me now. Following Sasuke's lead, Naruto slammed his head against the desk and uttered the words, Sasuke. Do it. As the girls began to lose their minds once more, Naruto and Sasuke vanished in a burst of red light. I bet it was Sasuke-kun trying to show off for us. What happened to them this time? You wish, you crazy bitch, that was obviously Naru-kun. And so on, until the door finally flew open and a man in his early 20s walked in, shouting, "Alright everyone, sit down and shut up," as the lavender and pink haired girls sat back down and all the fangirls fled to find seats. "Alright, time for roll call. Shoji Akamichi? Here." The man proceeded until he came to Naruto on the list. He glanced around the room for a moment before asking, "Naruto Namikaze?" A red flash flashed in the seat between the two fangirls, and Naruto responded, "Here." The man shouted, "Why are you too late?" Naruto rubbed the back of his neck and said, "Sorry. We got lost on the road of life." "Fantastic. We're dealing with a miniature Kakashi, and the Uchiha and the Hokage's son are friends." When he applied the big head jutsu to them, Iruka yelled, "Okay then, smartass, don't ever be late to my class again." Naruto and Sasuke said, "Sorry." As he went on with the roll call, Iruka said, "Okay." Everyone laughed at the boys getting into trouble. "Now that that's out of the way, my name is Iruka Amino. I'm a Chunin and I will be your instructor. You may refer to me as Iruka. Sensei. Any questions? Okay, good. Open your books to page 1. Later on in the day, as everyone closed their books and began to depart, Iruka said, "Okay, that is all for today, you are dismissed." Naruto and Sasuke exchanged glances before gulping. "Uchiha. Namikaze. I need to have a word with you too." Shikamaru, Ino and Choji waited outside in the corridor, where they could hear the screams, and they occasionally winced. After Sasuke and Naruto left the room a few minutes later, the group dispersed down the corridor. "How about we celebrate our first day by going out to eat, guys?" "My treat," Naruto said. There was a collective, "Sure, let's go." After leaving the school and heading down the street, they heard a familiar sound that was less obnoxious than before. "Hey Sasuke-kun," the pink-haired girl said. So they all started walking in the direction of Ichiraku's ramen stand. "Who are you?" Sasuke said, glancing at the girl. "The name Sakura Haruno is my name. Would you be interested in going out to eat or something? It can't hurt to let her accompany you, I suppose, because she is undoubtedly better off without the crowd." "Well, if you'd like, you can join us for dinner right now. This was Naruto's idea, if he doesn't mind." "I'm okay with it. You are Sakura, correct?" As he pointed to each of them, he said, "I assume you already know that this is Sasuke, I'm Naruto, and this is Ino, Choji, and Shikamaru." Choji and Ino said, "Hi Sakura." "It was troublesome," Shikamaru said. "All right, how about we continue?" Sasuke said. As everyone turned to face the white-eyed girl standing a few yards back, a voice said, "Hold on a second." "So, who are you?" Naruto said. "My name is Hinata Hyuga. I don't mean to bother you, but would it be okay if I went with Naru-kun as well? What harm could it do?" Naruto thought, "That's the girl who sat next to me earlier. She seems much better without the rest of the fangirls." Naruto said, "Sure, that's fine by me, you can come." Hinata blushed and said, "Thank you Naru-kun." Sasuke said, "Let's try this again then," and they turned to return to Ichiraku's. After 4 years, all of the students sat in class 1 week prior to graduation, listening to Iruka's lecture for the final time before they graduated. Following the lecture, they had their final exam and team assignments, and then they had a week off before the ceremony. In addition to finishing his wind style, Rasengan, and demonstrating to his father how he did it, Naruto has mastered the FTG to his father's level over the years. He has also integrated his lighting element into the Rasengan, something his father has not yet done. Naruto has learned a lot of wind, lightning, and water jutsu, choosing to be strong in all three rather than mastering one while weak in the others. With the help of his brother Itachi, Sasuke has also grown stronger over the years, mastering fire-style techniques and arousing his one-tomo Sharingan. Recently, Sasuke realized that he also had a talent for lightning, so Kakashi gave him some lightning jutsu. Naruto and Sasuke have collaborated and complemented each other well, with Sasuke's fire and lighting and Naruto's wind and water. They have developed a few techniques of cooperation, and as a team, they are feared even by many Jonin in the village. With their clan techniques and other abilities, Naruto's other friends have also advanced significantly. Alright, that's it. The lectures for the year are officially over. Mizuki-sensei and I will start calling you 2 at a time into the adjacent room for your graduation exam in a few moments. Does everyone get it? Iruka said. At the Hokage's office, in the meantime, Minato said, "So have you considered my offer, Itachi?" Yes, Hokage. Sama. It's unconventional, but it will help me protect my younger brother and his best friend. But if it's okay with you, may I ask why you chose to do this? Sasuke and Naruto are obviously in a different league, and I worry that their abilities would be limited if they were placed on a regular Genin team. They are already low Jonin and high Chunin, in my opinion. At their age, they truly make me think of you, Itachi. Well, Hokage. Sama, I would be honored to teach them alongside Kakashi. Itachi, thank you. At 5 p.m. today, you and Kakashi will meet them there. Yes, sir. Will there be more? No, you are dismissed. Itachi then vanished in a whirlpool of foliage. Returning to the academy, it's your turn, Namikaze and Uchiha, Iruka said as she entered the room. Hurry up. After getting up and exchanging smiles, Naruto and Sasuke left the room with Iruka by going down the stairs. As soon as they entered the testing room, Mizuki yelled, Namikaze, you'll be with me. Iruka responded, that means I've got you, Uchiha. I want you to create 2 clones and henge one into me for your graduation exam. You can start. Iruka was one of the 2 clones that materialized at Sasuke's side as he grinned. You made a bunshin without using any hand seals, which is really impressive. Iruka gave Sasuke a headband and said, good job, you passed. It's no ordinary bunshin. There are benefits to being best friends with the village's foremost authority on shadow clones, smirked Sasuke. Whoa, that is a Jonin level technique, Sasuke. This expert you mention is who? Naruto smirked and said, you're looking at him. Naruto? Iruka said, you are the Kage Bunshin's purported master? Yep. Naruto said as 3 clones materialized out of nowhere, one of whom was Iruka, one of whom was Mizuki, and the third of whom was Sasuke. A Kawarimi seated the Iruka and Mizuki clones in the seats that had previously been occupied by the originals. All right, then. Then, both of you are really impressive. Iruka handed Naruto a headband and said, you passed to Naruto. It was Sasuke who said, congratulations Naruto. You as well. However, I was unaware that clones could be made without seals. Smiling, Sasuke said, yeah, I've been keeping it a surprise. As Iruka and Mizuki carried on with the testing, the 2 left the room and went back to their separate areas to await the team announcements. Did you sense something off about Mizuki, sensei, Sasuke? Yay. I did get a bad feeling about him. I wonder what he's up to. A clone materialized next to Naruto, who grinned evilly and said, I'm not sure but we should find out. The clone vanished in a flash of red when Naruto reached up and whispered something to it. Back at the office of the Hokage on one of the few occasions when his paperwork was caught up, Minato was taking a break at his desk when a red ball of light appeared in front of his desk. Naruto, what are you doing here? The replica bowing said, Hokage. Sama, I am just a clone. Naruto told me to come inform you that there may be something going on with Mizuki, sensei. Care to elaborate on that? Sir, both your son and Sasuke felt something off when they went in the room with him to take their final. They are not sure what is going on but felt that you should know just in case. Naruto also told me to request permission for him to investigate further into the issue. Alright. Permission granted, but make sure to be careful with it, and call if I am needed. The clone poofed away into the smoke, saying, yes sir. From behind Minato came a voice that said, well, just passed his Genin final and you're already sending him off on an A-rank mission with only another Genin. Yay sensei. I have had some reports of strange behavior from Mizuki lately but nothing concrete. If those 2 were able to sense bad intentions from him, then maybe they can get to the bottom of it. Besides, you forget that they will only be Genin for a couple of weeks. We are going to field test them and promote them both as soon as possible. Jiraiya smiled at Minato and said, yay politics and the what not. Returning to the academy, Sasuke asked, so what's your plan Naruto? Well, I feel as if he has something in mind for very soon. Possibly involving one of the Genin candidates maybe? You could be right, but what would a Jonin need a Genin for? Naruto's eyes widened when he said, infiltration. He wants to trick one of the Genin into getting something for him so he doesn't have to risk being caught. But who? And what does he want? Good point Naruto. He is after something in the village and wants to manipulate someone into doing it for him to cut the risk. As a clone materialized next to him, transformed into Kakashi, and left the room, Naruto said, I have an idea. What was that about? We need a list of all the Genin who failed their exams. I have an idea about who he wants and how to figure out what. Sasuke smiled and punched Naruto in the arm, saying, well, there's a brain somewhere in there after all. With the clone of Naruto, Kakashi proceeded down the corridor until he reached the examination room. When he knocked on the door, Iruka said, enter. "Iruka, may I have a word with you outside?" Kakashi said as he entered. Iruka stood up and walked to the hallway, saying, "Sure Kakashi-san." "So Kakashi, what is it that you wanted? First of all, this is a clone of Naruto. I am hanged into Kakashi, so I don't draw attention talking to you like this. What I came for is to ask you for a list of all the candidates who failed to pass the exam. Naruto, I can't just hand that out, it is confidential. It is under the order of the Hokage. We suspect Mizuki is up to something and are trying to figure out what it is. I need a list of all the candidates who fail the test so I can figure out who the target is." "Okay Naruto, I'll be right back with what we have so far." "Okay." After entering the room, Iruka came back a moment later carrying a piece of paper with multiple names written on it. Naruto gave Iruka a paper tag with the FTG seal on it and said, "Thank you, Iruka. Sensei. Here, I want you to take this for now. If you find out anything about what he is up to, channel some chakra into that seal and it'll come as soon as I can." As Kakashi left to return to the classroom, Iruka said, "Okay Naruto, be careful." Returning to the classroom, Sasuke and Naruto were sitting there talking further about Mizuki when Kakashi burst through the door. Naruto said with conviction, "Hello Kakashi. Sensei, what brings you here?" Kakashi said, "The Hokage has sent you a very important message." Naruto got up and bowed to Kakashi, who shunned him outside the room before dispelling himself. "Ah, thank you Sensei." As they examined the paper, Sasuke remarked, "Well, good job on that one, Naruto." With haste, Naruto grabbed a pen, copied the list of names, and created a second clone to stand next to him. Naruto said, "I need you to take my reply to the Hokage." The clone said, "Yes sir," and then vanished in a flash of red as it left the room. In the office of the Hokage, "What is it that you found Naruto?" Minato asked as the clone materialized in front of her desk. "Sir, I have a list of names here that Naruto wishes to receive information about." "What kind of information does he request?" "Naruto wishes to know about the home life of all of these people, as well as any past questionable acts or run-ins with Anbu." Minato turned to his computer, began typing, printed off a few pages, and gave them to the clone. "Okay, I can do that, hold on for just a minute. This is what he seeks, it is for yours and Sasuke's eyes only and is to be destroyed after you finish." As he flashed away, the clone said, "Yes sir. Well, it looks like they are making progress. Maybe you were right to allow them to do this." Jiraiya replied. "Yes, they are performing remarkably well. Let's hope they find the truth and put an end to whatever he has planned." Returning to the academy, the clone of Naruto flashed in at the door, turned, and walked inside before handing Naruto the paper. As the clone was dispelled, Naruto said, "Thank you. Well, Sasuke, we have background checks on every name on the list. Should we?" Sasuke grabbed half of the stack and began searching for anything that looked different, saying, "They won't search themselves." He found 3 reports that caught his attention and put them aside. After searching his stack and sorting 2 reports out of the others, Naruto turned to Sasuke and said, "Well, I found 2 persons of interest. How about you?" As he gave Naruto the stack, Sasuke remarked, "I got 3 that are interesting." After examining the 5 individuals for a while, Naruto placed the paper on the desk and remarked, "I think this is the one right here. Kasumi Akina. 12 years old, without a parent. 8 years ago, both parents perished on a mission." As another clone materialized next to him, Naruto wrote the girl's name on a piece of paper and gave it to the clone, saying, "I need you to go to Iruka and get this girl's progress report from the academy for the last 4 years. Naruto stated, "She has been caught by the Anbu on several occasions stealing from various booths in the market since she was kicked out of the orphanage when she turned 8 and started to the academy." As he made his way to the hallway, the clone hanged into Kakashi once more and proceeded to the examination room, saying, "Yes sir." After knocking on the door and entering, he said, "I apologize for constantly interrupting you, Iruka, but could we talk again?" Kakashi nodded and Iruka went out into the hall. "Naruto, what do you need?" "I required this girl's progress report for the 4 years she has attended the academy. By the way, until we discover what is happening, you have been sworn to secrecy regarding this matter." "Okay, follow me to my office and I'll get the report for you." Iruka and Kakashi went down the hall to Iruka's office, where he printed out a 4-year report on the girl and gave it to Kakashi, who went to the door while he changed back into Naruto and went inside to give the papers to the real Naruto. As the clone vanished, Naruto said, "Thank you. It seems that the girl had trouble staying afloat throughout school, but she was very good at henge and stealth techniques. Mizuki would need that profile in order to infiltrate something. We now know who, but we still need to know what." I have a concept for that. After the exams are over, Mizuki will probably go after her, so we need to find her. Before we can have one of our clones henge into her, we must locate her. After he extends his offer to her, we will discuss our options. The only thing left to do is set a trap. Nice concept. Naruto laughed and said, it appears that there are other intelligent people at this table. Let's visit the Hokage. After placing his hand on Sasuke's shoulder, Naruto vanished in a flash of red and reappeared before the Hokage. Naruto said, Dad, I believe we have located Mizuki's target, or at least a portion of it, and Sasuke bowed. However, we came to hear your thoughts before moving forward. What have you discovered? Minato asked. Well, Akina Kasuki is a girl our age from a different class. She was expelled from the orphanage 4 years ago, leaving her an orphan. It seems that she has since resorted to stealing in order to make ends meet. With the exception of stealth and henjutsu, she struggled in every area at the academy. We think that Mizuki wants to somehow coerce her into going somewhere to obtain something for him. In this manner, he is, in a sense, out of the fire. In order to find out what Mizuki wants and to gather evidence against him, we intend to speak with this Akina girl and then henge into her, Naruto stated. Very well, I agree with you on the subject. Minato grinned and said, you two did a fantastic job on this, especially considering that you were only genin for less than 2 hours. You can go now, and let me know what you find. Both boys said, yes sir, and vanished in a burst of red. Goddamn Minato, you had better keep an eye on him because he's now vying for your job. Based on his report, that investigation is really impressive. You were absolutely correct to allow them to proceed with this, Jiraiya said. Yes, I am aware of that. As the Hokage and a father, I am proud of it. Minato grinned broadly and said, my boy will be a damn fine Hokage when his time comes. Sasuke and Naruto are back in the village. In one of Konoha's less desirable neighborhoods, Naruto and Sasuke were searching for the girl's address. After 10 minutes or so, they located the house they were looking for and knocked on the door. In a sad-sounding feminine voice, the words, 1 minute please. A moment later, a young girl who resembled Akina in appearance but was slightly older and less healthy opened the door, hurried out, and closed it behind her. How may I help you today? Akina Kasuki, are you? Sasuke asked in a cordial tone. Yes, but why? If it's okay with you, we would like to speak with you for a little while. What about lunch? Naruto said. Akina. My reward. What say you? Well, that will be alright. Okay, I'll be right back. Akina said this as she hurriedly opened the door, vanished, and then reappeared a moment later, appearing to have cleaned up a little. What do you want to eat, Akina? Naruto said. I just realized I never got your names, but that's okay with me. I apologize, Akina said, glancing at the floor. I apologize, but where are our manners? This is Sasuke Uchiha, a friend of mine. My name is Naruto Namikaze. In any case, we'll follow you wherever you choose to go. You mean the fourth son, Naruto Namikaze? And Itachi Uchiha's brother, Sasuke Uchiha? You two are very well known among genin and academy students, Akina said as she escorted them into a barbecue restaurant in the nicer part of the neighborhood, a few blocks from her home. Yes, that describes us, but we're just regular folks. Sasuke said, regular genin, so please don't try to treat us as special or anything. When the food arrived, Naruto ran through a couple of hand seals as a barrier of red chakra formed around them and vanished as Akina gave him a terrified look. They all sat down at a table and ordered their food while chatting a little about nothing. Akina, don't worry, it was only a privacy jutsu. We need to discuss some delicate matters with you, as we previously stated. Like what? So, to start, we're told that Mizuki Sensei intends to use you for something, Akina. We came to speak with you because we are unsure of what it is yet. You haven't heard from Mizuki since the test, has he? Naruto asked. No, he hasn't. Yes, he promised to give me another test immediately following my exam. He instructed me to meet him tonight at 8 p.m. at Training Ground 18. Does what you guys want have anything to do with that? Yes, Akina, it does. Regarding the retest, he was lying to you. Only in the academy can you retest. You can take the retest when it is offered in 3 days. However, he was attempting to get you into trouble tonight. We will help you pass your test and graduate with us on Friday if you agree to assist us. Does that sound good? What must I do for you? To henge into you and attend this meeting with Mizuki, we need your consent. Sasuke said, if you agree, we can learn his plan, stop him, and gather evidence against him. All right, I concur. I sincerely appreciate you all keeping me out of trouble. Akina scowled and appeared on the verge of tears as she said, I get into enough of it on my own. Naruto took out some cash and said, Akina, I want you to take this and get a hotel for now. Mizuki will be aware of your residence and may attempt to harm you if we are unable to apprehend him. Therefore, there is more than enough money for 2 days' worth of lodging and food. If something occurs, we can proceed. I appreciate your assistance. In addition to letting us know where you're staying so we can locate you if we need to speak with you again, each of us will leave a clone to assist you in getting a few items from home if necessary. After finishing their meal, they each left a clone with Akina and quickly made their way to the Hokage's office. Hello, boys. What have you discovered so far? We located the girl and had a conversation with her. She claimed that if she met Mizuki at Training Ground 18 at 8 p.m., he would give her the opportunity to retest. I'll investigate her and go to the meeting to learn Mizuki's goal and acquire hard proof. I'll give a sign once I have what I need, and Naruto will catch him. Hokage. Sama, how does that sound? Great plan, boys. You have my complete support, as I mentioned. Thanks, Dad. Thank you, sir. The two boys vanished once more before resurfacing at Naruto's residence, which was close to Training Ground 18. They began to move toward the training area in order to examine it and set up a trap for Mizuki. It was 7:30 that evening. As Naruto sat on the roof of his house with a pair of binoculars waiting for the signal, Sasuke hanged into Akina and headed to a big rock on the field's edge. A few minutes later, Mizuki walked into the training ground and approached Akina. Naruto and Sasuke had just finished reviewing the plan once more. Akina, I'm happy you came. Are you prepared to take the test? Yes, Sensei, said Akina, nodding her head. What must I do? Your task is to obtain the Scroll of Forbidden Seals by breaking into the Hokage Tower's Jutsu Archive. Once you have it, you will pass if you can learn even one jutsu from the scroll. 1 mile northwest of the village is a clearing. At 2 a.m., I'll be there to greet you. You will pass and become a genin if you can learn a jutsu from the scroll and show it to me by 2 o'clock. You get it? Yes. Akina said as she bowed to Mizuki more deeply than usual. Just then, he was thrown backwards by a fist in his stomach, and he saw a bright flash of red light in front of him. Before he realized what had happened, he saw another flash behind him, and he was smashed hard into the ground, creating a small crater around his body. As soon as he hit, a giant ball of white-hot fire was launched at him. He saw it in time, ran through some hand seals, and yelled, "Earth style, Earth dome." As a dome of mud encased him, he let the dome fall and jumped out onto the ground and looked around but found no one around, when suddenly a red flash appeared in front of him and kicked him high into the air. As he was flying up, Naruto started going through some hand seals and focusing his chakra, while Sasuke jumped above Mizuki and kicked him down, sending him flying towards the earth. As soon as he hit, Sasuke was on him again and axe kicked him in the stomach, sending him further down into a crater. As soon as he stood up to walk out, he was surrounded by a ball of water as Naruto said, "Water style, water prison jutsu." Sasuke then walked up to the dome and looked at Mizuki as Mizuki yelled, "You little bastards, you're just genin, how the hell did?" Sasuke stated, "First of all, we're no ordinary genin. Second, a well-thought-out plan can defeat even the most formidable fighter. Until we caught you and I revealed myself, you had no idea who we were," Naruto said. Sasuke promptly tied him up and kicked him in the ribs for good measure, and Naruto walked up, placing one hand on Sasuke's shoulder and another on Mizuki before they vanished in a red flash. Naruto then dropped the water prison and instantly appeared behind Mizuki, hitting a pressure point on his neck and instantly knocking him out. As a red flash flashed across his room, Minato looked up to see Sasuke and his son standing over an unconscious Mizuki as Naruto started to report what had happened. "Well done, boys, on catching this traitor. By removing him, you protected one of our village's greatest secrets. You too have my admiration. This is your reward for completing an A-rank mission." "Thank you, Hokage. Sama, it was our honor to catch this scum who would take advantage of a poor girl with a broken spirit." Sasuke is correct, and thanks, Dad, for attempting to play on her feelings. He is a piece of shit. Dad, is there anything we can do to support her? She's going through a difficult time. Well, I could give her pay for an A rank since she had a part in this mission as well. As he returned his money to his father, Naruto said, "Well, if that's the case, I'd like to put a bounty on Mizuki and pretend that we were never heard and that she brought him in. I will match Naruto's bounty. The same is true for me. Should we give Akina, sir, both the bounty and the pay?" "Yes, Sasuke, that will be all right. Naruto and you will return here tomorrow at 8 a.m. to pick up her package. Both of you did a very mature thing, by the way. I'm really pleased with you." At approximately 7:45, Naruto and Sasuke met at the tower. They then proceeded to his father's office to collect the envelope containing the mission pay and the bounty on Mizuki. After Minato handed them the package, they left to head to the hotel where Akina was staying. They were discussing who would be on whose team along the way, just like old friends do. There was no possibility that they would be on the same team because, in order to maintain balance, the Rookie of the Year would typically be paired with the class Dobi and the best Kunoichi. Sasuke was ranked number 2 and Naruto was ranked number 1, so it was unlikely that they would be paired. They reached Akina's hotel rather quickly and knocked on the door. When she arrived to respond, she appeared pleased to see who it was. "Good morning, everyone," smiled Akina. According to Sasuke, "Morning, Akina." "Good morning," Naruto said. Akina asked, "So what brings you out here so early?" "All right," Sasuke said. "We have a surprise for you." "A surprise?" "Yep, since you helped take down an immediate threat to the village, you were awarded the pay for an A-rank mission. Also, there was a bounty of 20,000 Ryo on Mizuki that you get. So all in all you just got 30,000 Ryo," said Naruto with a grin on his face. When Sasuke handed her the envelope, she opened it, took a look inside, turned back to face Naruto and Sasuke, threw herself at them, gave them both a hug, and began to cry. Sasuke asked, "Why are you crying, Akina?" "Because I'm so happy, I've never seen that much money before. That's enough. I can get a house outside of that shitty neighborhood and maybe I can make some friends in." "You've already got friends, Akina. We're your friends, and besides, money doesn't buy friends," Naruto replied. "You don't understand. I've lived in that shitty run-down apartment since I was 8 years old. I've never had enough money to even buy food, much less a decent place to stay or clothes. Nobody would hang out with me because of the way I looked. And I wanted to be a ninja so bad and I needed it so I could make enough money to at least eat, but then I failed the test and that bastard Mizuki tried to take advantage of me. Don't worry about Mizuki. He got what he deserved. And don't worry about the graduation test. We have all day today and tomorrow to get you ready and we're going to do our best," Sasuke replied. "You guys don't have to go out of your way for me." As he grinned at her, she gradually began to smile back. "No, we don't have to, but we want to. That's what friends do. They help each other," Naruto said. "So, how good are you at clones?" "I'm not very good at anything besides henge." As he slowly went over the hand seals a few times, Sasuke said, "That's okay, we can help you with that. Just do these seals and then imagine cloning yourself." Akina created a clone after doing the seals, but it wasn't very good and resembled a ghost of her. "Try to add some more chakra to it, also envision yourself as the clone forms," said Naruto. Akina gave it another go, and although the clone looked much better, it wasn't flawless. "You people must think I'm a moron because I can't even perform a basic clone." Akina began to cry once more and said, "I apologize, I don't even deserve to be a ninja." "Don't worry, Akina. We don't believe you're a moron," Sasuke said. "It's not your fault. You simply didn't have anyone to teach you. You'll be able to perform it flawlessly with a little practice, and you can also pick up other skills. Don't let the fact that you were ignored by the academy's teachers and never had the opportunity to learn bring you down," Naruto said. "We're here to help you now." "Wow, I really don't deserve this, guys. Akina, everyone is entitled to at least one chance. Then why don't you try the clone jutsu again?" Sasuke said. After several attempts, Akina was ecstatic when she finally got the clone right, allowing her to graduate and become a ninja. "Akina, flare your chakra all at once, okay?" Naruto said. "Hey Sasuke, look with your Sharingan and see if you can get a reading on her chakra." As she began to gather and release her chakra, Akina said, "Okay." Although her reserves are respectable, they are insufficient for shadow clones. Sasuke said, "Maybe 2, but that would be risky." "You're right. It's best to avoid taking a chance. Let's practice controlling our chakras," Naruto said. Sasuke said, "That would be a good place to start. What then must I do?" Akina asked. "Take this," Naruto said, drawing out a leaf, and use chakra to adhere it to your forehead. And simply leave it there as you carry on with your regular activities. Stick another leaf somewhere else and hold both of them there. Once you can maintain the first one there without even thinking about it. Everything else, including creating a clone, should be much simpler once you can accomplish that. Good luck on your test tomorrow, and you can work on that. To assess your progress, we'll meet you here at 8 a.m. Akina hugged Naruto and said, "Bye Naruto, thank you so much for your help. I've got to go too, just work on the leaf exercise and we'll see you in the morning." Akina gave Sasuke a hug and said, "Bye Sasuke, thank you too." When Sasuke said, "So now what are you gonna do?" Naruto and Sasuke both left the house and headed down the street. Naruto said, "I don't know, I think I'm gonna," after pausing for a moment. "Well, Dad just called so I'm gonna go see what he wants. See you in the morning." As Naruto flashed off, Sasuke said, "See you later." "You called Dad?" asked Naruto, who flashed red in his father's office. "Yes, Naruto, in celebration of your graduation, we have a gift for you," Minato said. "Thanks so much, Dad." "What is it?" "Hello Jiraiya." "Sama, Minato." "Sama, here is the scroll you requested." Jiraiya bit his thumb and went through some hand signals before placing his hand down on the desk. As quickly as it arrived, it poofed away once more. "What was that? Cool," Naruto said. "That was a portion of your current Naruto, then." As he unfolded the scroll on the desk, Jiraiya said. Naruto noticed that the scroll bore two names: Minato Namikaze and Jiraiya. According to Naruto, so what is it? "Son, this is the summoning contract of the Toads. One of the three most powerful summons in Konoha." Naruto said, "Cool. So son, would you like to be a summoner of the Toads?" "Sure, that'd be awesome." "Okay Naruto, I need you to cut your finger and sign your name in blood on beside your dad's," Jiraiya replied. After cutting his finger with a kunai, Naruto signed his name next to his father on the line. After he was done, the scroll briefly glowed green before rolling back up and vanishing. As Naruto watched, Jiraiya slowly went through the hand seals and said, "Okay, now here are the hand seals for the summoning jutsu. Just watch a couple of times. Okay, your turn." A tiny orange toad emerged from the smoke as Naruto poked his thumb, broke through the hand seals, and touched his hand to the desk. "Howdy Jiraiya, Minato. What's going on?" "Actually Gamakichi, my son just signed the contract. He hasn't met your dad yet though. You're his first summon." "Oh I see, hey there, my name is Gamakichi. I'm Naruto Namikaze." As he leapt onto Naruto's head, Gamakichi exclaimed, "Cool, we're going to be best friends." "Okay then," Naruto said, beginning to laugh. "Well son, how did the meeting with Akina go earlier?" "I hope she passes. She's such a nice girl, but she's had it so hard her whole life, she deserves something at least," Naruto said, frowning. "It went well. We gave her the money and she was so happy. Then we helped him get the clone jutsu straightened out so she could pass the test tomorrow." Smiling at his son, Minato said, "She'll do fine, she had a good teacher after all." "Thank you, Dad. I believe I will return home and do some training. I'll see you later, Uncle Jiraiya, Dad." As Naruto left the room, Minato said, "See ya son." Because it was still early and he wasn't in a rush, Naruto chose to walk home today. However, he was knocked down and fell on top of someone who turned around a corner while he was walking. "I sincerely apologize. Where I wasn't keeping an eye on Naruto," the individual said. "Ino," Naruto said, blushing as he became aware that her face was just inches away from his. Seeing the same thing, Ino began to flush as well and jumped up, still flushed, saying, "Naruto. I'm sorry, I was just on my way to the flower shop, I'm running late." "Oh, no issue, Ino. Would you like me to drive you there?" Naruto said. As Naruto put his arm around her waist and she became even more enraged, Ino said, "You don't have to do." As they vanished in a flash of red and resurfaced immediately outside the store, Naruto said, "It's no problem, hold on. I have a seal tag on yours, Shikamaru's, Choji's, and Sasuke's house in case I need to get there quickly. Paid off today, With a sheepish smile, Naruto said. "Wow, thanks Naruto." Ino hugged him, causing him to blush once more. When she realized what she was doing, she withdrew and blushed once more. "I'm sorry," she said. "Before daddy kills me, I had better get inside. See you, Naruto." As she ran inside and he turned to head back to his house, he said, "See ya Ino." "So, who is your girlfriend, Naruto?" Gamakichi said. "She's not my girlfriend, just a friend Gamakichi." "Why isn't she your girlfriend? It seems like she likes you and you like her." "I don't think she likes me like that. Dude, did you notice how she was staring at you? You ought to ask her out once and see how things work out." "I don't know, I'll think about it." "Alright. I'm going home, Naruto, so please call me so I can attend your graduation." "Yes, I will. See you in Gamakichi." After returning home, he used the training yard to practice his jutsu until dinner time. He created 3 shadow clones, which immediately assumed a ready stance. Naruto leapt back from the clones and began running through hand seals while he exclaimed, "Wind style, wind bullets." As he did so, balls of compressed air erupted from his mouth at the clones, who were easily avoiding them. One of the clones exclaimed, "Wind style, Rasengan," and began to charge at Naruto, who said, "Water style, exploding water colliding wave." After going through some hand seals, as a lot of water spurted from his mouth and created a wave that struck the clone and dispelled it. As they exclaimed, lightning style, false darkness. The other two clones leapt aside and made their own hand seals. And the other said, water style, water cannon jutsu. As the stream of water shot at Naruto, the lightning bolt wrapped around it and charged the water. Just as the water was about to his, Naruto ran through some hand seals and said, wind release, raging tornado jutsu. As a large mass of spinning wind came out of his mouth and collided with the lightning-charged water, dispelling both techniques and making a thick mist surround them. Naruto took advantage of the mist as he ran through some hand signs and said, lightning style, Rasenrakurai. As a compressed ball of lightning shot out of his hand and through one of the clones, dispelling it before the ball hit a tree and the tree dissolved into near nothing. The remaining clone looked around trying to find where the attack came from as red flash appeared in front of him, and before he knew it, a Chidori was shoved through his chest, dispelling him. Naruto smiled and whipped around some wind to blow away the mist, finding his dad standing up by the house watching him. Good job, son, said Minato. I like the Rasenrakurai, it looks to be quite effective. Thanks, Dad, I think it worked out good too. You can defeat 3 clones at once, Naruto, but what about your elderly father? Minato grinned as he spoke. Naruto said, leaping back from his father, I can try at least. All set, go, said Minato as he started running at Naruto. He threw one of his kunai at Naruto and said, wind style, Rasengan. Knowing what was about to happen, Naruto exclaimed, wind style, Rasengan. As he vanished in a flash of yellow, as he charged towards the kunai. He shoved the Rasengan at the kunai and knocked it down, instead of hitting his dad. Before he knew what happened, he got drilled in the back by his dad's Rasengan and flew into a tree. As he got back up to a knee, his dad was already on him again. He ducked under a spin kick and rolled to the side as Minato rolled into an axe kick. He jumped back up to the side of the tree and ran through some hand seals and said, water style, water dragon jutsu. As a large stream of water shot out of his mouth in the shape of a dragon. Minato jumped aside and dodged the dragon as he ran through his own seals and said, water style, water dragon jutsu. As his own dragon shot out of his mouth and started fighting with Naruto's. Minato noticed that Naruto was no longer on the tree anymore and started looking around trying to find him. He threw a kunai straight into the air and disappeared just as a kunai hit the ground beside him and red flash appeared. Naruto looked up just in time to see his dad coming down at his head with his fist drew back. Naruto tried to dodge, but the attack still caught him and sent him flying across the yard and into a tree. Minato stood back up and said, good job, son, you really pushed me this time, and you didn't even use your strongest attacks. It won't take you long to defeat me. Yay, I can't use my Rasenrakurai or Rasenshuriken in a friendly spar, they're both one-hit kills. Indeed, explaining to everyone how you killed the Hokage during a training battle would be challenging. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck and smiled, saying, yeah, I suppose it would indeed. The house of Akina the following day. Akina, do you think you're ready? Sasuke asked. As she adhered the leaves to her arms and forehead, Akina said, yeah, look, I can stick 3 leaves to my body and make clones at the same time now. Well done, Akina. Now you'll definitely pass, Sasuke said. Are you prepared to leave now? Naruto said. Akina grinned and said, sure, let's do this. After saying, what are you, and placing a hand on both her and Sasuke's shoulder, Naruto and Akina vanished in a burst of red. As Akina completed doing, they reappeared in front of the academy. How did we get here? She asked, surveying her surroundings. The Flying Thunder God technique of Naruto. Sasuke pointed to the seal tag next to the academy door and said, it allows him to teleport anywhere he has one of his seal tags. Wow, that's pretty cool, Naruto. Thank you, but please continue taking your test. Here, we'll be waiting. Okay, thanks guys. See you soon. So what do we do for the next hour? Sasuke asked Naruto as Akina entered the doors. I'm not sure, but what about a spar? As they made their way to the training yard close to the academy, Sasuke said, sure, let's go. Naruto said, ready. Leave. Sasuke flipped in midair, ran through some hand seals, and exclaimed, fire style, great fireball jutsu. As he leapt just in time to avoid a Rasengan, as a large ball of fire shot out of his mouth at Naruto. Naruto seen it just in time to throw a kunai and teleport to it as another ball of fire shot at him. He threw the kunai and once again teleported to it. As he reappeared, he was already going through some hand seals as yet another fireball came at him. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. Yelled Naruto as he spat out a dragon-shaped stream of water that flew right through Sasuke's fireball and into him, driving him into the ground where he poofed into a log. Naruto jumped and flipped backwards just in time to avoid a spin kick by Sasuke as landed and launched his own kick at Sasuke, who also dodged. They continued in a taijutsu bout briefly until Sasuke saw an opening and uppercut Naruto in the gut, knocking him into the air. Before Naruto had a chance to right himself, Sasuke was upon him. Sasuke did a front flip and dropped an axe kick into Naruto's ribs that sent him smashing into the ground as he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Shit. A shadow clone, thought Sasuke as suddenly he heard a howling noise behind him. He turned to look just in time for a wind dragon to slam into him. It pushed him back into a tree and made several small cuts appear all over him. He fell to the ground panting as Naruto walked up and offered his hand. Sasuke took it and stood back up as he said, "Damn it, I'll beat you one day, Naruto." As he began to bandage Sasuke's wounds, Naruto grinned and said, Sure, whatever you want to believe." When Naruto saw Ino walk a short distance away, he said, "Be right back, Sasuke." He vanished in a flurry of leaves and then reappeared in front of Ino, frightening her. She jumped back in surprise for a moment before saying, "Oh Naruto, I'm sorry, you kind of scared me." The two had gone over and sat down on a bench to wait for Akina to finish up. "What is going on?" With a blush and a tiny smile. "I apologize for frightening you, however, I have a question for you." "What is it?" "Well," Naruto said, blushing, "I wanted to know what you were up to on Saturday." As Ino's smile widened and her blush deepened, she thought, "Oh my god, is Naruto asking me out? I can't believe it, I thought he would never ask." "Well, why am I not doing anything?" Ino tried to suppress her blush as she spoke. "Well, I was wondering if you might want to join us for dinner to celebrate our graduation," Naruto said, blushing even more. "Of course, I would really like to." Ino and Naruto both grinned as she spoke. "All right, I'll come get you at 7. "Not so fast, Mr. Player," Ino said, grinning evilly. Ino. "Chan, what is that? I thought, oh, he called me Chan." "Yes. You'll need to ask Daddy for permission first, but don't worry, he doesn't bite, not too forcefully," Naruto said, as he turned pale. With a slightly wider smile, Ino said, "Like I said, don't worry my little Naru-kun. He's not so bad. Just come to the flower shop later today and talk to him. I'll see you then." She gave him a cheek kiss before leaving, making sure to show off for him. "How sweet," Naruto thought as he smiled broadly. "Wow, I guess Gamakichi was right, she really does like me. I can't believe she said yes." As Naruto reappeared in front of him in a whirl of leaves, Sasuke sat there, watching the entire situation, thinking, damn, he works fast. "Hey, is your dad's jutsu the teleporting with leaves?" "It appears different," Sasuke said. "The body flicker technique is what it's called. Do you want to learn from me?" "Yay, that would be cool. All you have to do is focus your chakra on your legs first, and then visualize yourself standing where you want to be. You must be able to see where you want to go, and its range is less than that of my FTG. Try to stay on level ground at first, but as you recover, you can also switch elevations." Sasuke followed Naruto's instructions, pumped chakra into his legs, and visualized himself across the street when he found himself hurtling through the air and directly into a tree, colliding with it and toppling over while screaming, "Oh damn it to hell." Sasuke looked up at Naruto and said, "It's okay." As his Sharingan activated, Naruto said, "I'm going to kick your ass, Naruto. I apologize for forgetting to mention that you should practice without any obstacles nearby." Sasuke said, "I'm still gonna kick your ass," and Naruto responded, "Okay fine, just don't make me move." They soon found themselves back at the yard next to the academy, exhausted and panting. After sitting on the bench for a while, they finally ran out, Akina wearing a headband around her neck, saying, "I did it. I succeeded. I made it. I really appreciate you both helping me." When they saw her, they both grinned and said, "Congratulations, Akina." When he heard the door open, Inoichi, who was seated behind the counter studying a catalog, looked up and said, "Hello Naruto, how are you today?" "How are you, Inoichi-san?" "I'm doing great. I'm all right. Do you need anything?" She grinned and said, "Don't be too mean to my Naru-kun daddy." Ino was standing around the corner, peeking at them without Naruto knowing. He sure is sexy when he's scared. "So, Inoichi-san, would it be okay if I took Ino out to supper on Saturday night?" Inoichi grinned evilly and said, "So you're asking me for permission to let you take my little princess out on a date?" "Yes sir." "Well, tell me why I should allow you." "Well, you and my father have been friends for years, and Ino and I have also known each other for a long time. I swear to respect her, sir, because I genuinely care about her." As Ino observed from the shadows, she thought, "Ah, that's so sweet." "Well, Then, that's sufficient justification for me. With a sly smile that stretched from ear to ear, Inoichi said, but keep in mind, Naruto, I work in the torture and interrogation department, so it goes without saying that you better not hurt my little girl. You have my word as a ninja, sir. I will treat her like a princess and protect her with my life. Inoichi ruffled Naruto's hair and grinned normally, saying, good, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. So, would you kindly let Ino-chan know that I dropped by and said hello? Well, that won't be necessary, Inoichi said as Ino smiled at Naruto as she rounded the corner. How long have you been there, Ino-chan? Naruto stammered. With a sly smile, Ino said, long enough. Rewind to earlier today. Hey daddy, guess what? Dear, what is it? I was finally asked out by Naruto-kun. Oh, did he? Yes. Ino winked at him and said, even though I knew what you would say, I told him he had to come ask you for permission. Yay, you know I can't say no to my little princess. So, what will you say to him, daddy? With a malevolent grin, Inoichi said, let me worry about that princess. Don't be too mean to him, daddy, he's a really sweet boy. Okay, I won't be too mean to him. As she gave him a hug, Ino said, thank you, daddy. Put an end to the flashback. Well, congrats, you too. Ino, you can take the rest of the day off. I've got it under control here, Inoichi said, pointing a little murderous intent at Naruto and smiling when he shuddered. Just remember what I said, Naruto. Many thanks, daddy. As she took Naruto's hand and dragged him out the door, Ino yelled. So, Ino-chan, where are we heading? As he attempted to keep up with Ino, Naruto said. We have to go tell Shikamaru and Choji that we're a couple now, Ino grinned. I like the sound of that. Ino Namikaze, wow, a couple with Naruto-kun. Alright, Ino-chan, whatever you say, could we please slow down a bit? Oh, of course. As Naruto's perspiration fell and Ino blushed, she apologized, I was a little excited. After that, the newlyweds kept walking hand in hand toward the Nara compound. When Ino knocked on the door, a woman in her early 30s answered, saying, hello Ino, Naruto. How are both of you doing? Yoshino, we're all right. Is Shikamaru home? Yoshino said, sure, let me get him. Shikamaru, you have company, up the stairs, she yelled. Shikamaru soon showed up at the door after they heard footsteps and a troublesome grunt. Hey everyone, why are you all here on this problematic evening? Shikamaru, I have some fantastic news, Ino said. What? On the first day, all genin will be assigned to lie on the grass and observe the clouds, said Shikamaru as his eyes lit up and he began to daydream until Ino slapped him upside the head. No? Naruto-kun asked me out today, and I wanted to let you know, with a smile, Ino said. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into, Naruto. Shikamaru remarked. Women are so troublesome, as Yoshino and Ino both struck him in the head. I think I'll be alright, Naruto remarked, laughing at Shikamaru's misfortune. Naruto, who was lying on the ground next to Shikamaru with a foot on the side of his head, said, Ino-chan isn't too troublesome. What Naru-kun was that? Ino was asked. As he felt a foot strike his rib cage, Shikamaru said, told you. Ino gave him a fierce look and said, no one asked you, she shouted. Where was I now? Naruto-kun. Oh, I see. What did you say? Her voice was sweet and frightful as she spoke. Remember how I said you're gorgeous? Thank you so much. With a giggle, Ino said, stepping away from the boys. Yoshino chuckled at Naruto and Shikamaru as they got to their feet, and Ino remarked, come on Naru-kun, we have to go tell Choji now. Choji and his father are actually camping outside the village until Friday morning, Shikamaru stated. You should be aware of the Akamichi rite of passage, Ino. Yes, I did forget. Then we will simply have to wait. See you later, Yoshino and Shikamaru. As they turned to leave, Naruto said, see Yashika, Yoshino-san. Naruto put his arm around Ino's waist as soon as they left the Nara compound, and before she could say anything, they vanished in a burst of red light before resurfacing on a hilltop overlooking the village. Wow, Naru-kun, this place is stunning. Where are we? Atop the monument to Hokage. Specifically, where my face will be in a few years, Naruto said, laughing. Wow, I've never been up here before. Yay, not many people come here, but it has the best view in the village, and the sunset is absolutely stunning from up here. I'm not joking, but what brought me here? Naruto took out a scroll and opened a blanket, saying, to see the sunset that I spoke about. I come up here a lot to relax after a hard day of training, Naruto said, spreading the blanket on the ground and gesturing for Ino to sit down. "It's just something about this place, I guess," he said, lowering her to sit next to him. "Yeah, I understand your point. I'm comfortable here, too. There's no doubt that's because I'm so close to you." Ino-chan. "Yes, Naru-kun. I appreciate you agreeing to accompany me out. I was afraid you wouldn't like me back, but I've wanted to ask you for a long time." "I appreciate you asking. Like you, I was afraid you wouldn't like me that way, so even though I've been waiting forever, I've never wanted to say anything." "Well, that is no longer a concern for us, is it?" Naruto said this as she rested her head on his shoulder and he put his arm around her shoulders. Ino grinned broadly and said, "Nope." This was heaven in her eyes. On top of the Hokage Tower on Friday morning. "Congratulations to all of you, as you will formally become Konoha's ninja today. All of you have proven that you possess the abilities required to serve your village as a genin. Please come get your ID as I call your name." Minato, wearing his Hokage robe and hat, said, "I have a card." Shino Aburame, Shino approached, took out his ID card, and bowed before going back to his seat. "Thank you, Hokage-sama." Until the name of Naruto was called, Minato kept going down the list. "Thank you, Hokage-sama." Naruto stood up, went to the front, bowed, and accepted his card. "Naruto Namikaze. Serving under you will be an honor," he said, turning to return to his seat as Minato went on down the list. "Congratulations once again on graduating and becoming genin," Minato said to everyone at once after calling out 32 names. "Your Junin sensei will stop by and speak with you shortly, so wait here." 13 people with the genin emerged onto the roof a few minutes later and started yelling names. They followed the woman's instructions, and she said, "Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, and Kiba Inazuka, please step forward." She was a stunning young woman who appeared to be in her midpoint 20s. "I am Kurenai Uehi, and I will serve as Team 8's sensei. On Monday at 8 a.m., meet me at Training Ground 8. A man with a beard, a cigarette, and a white sash embroidered with the kanji word for fire around his waist and shoulders spoke next. "My name is Asuma Sarutobi, and I will be the sensei of Team 10. Please meet me at Training Ground 10 on Monday at 8 a.m. My teammates are Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, and Shoji Akamichi." After a few more arrived and addressed their team, Itachi and Kakashi came forward. "Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Namikaze," Itachi said. "As you know, I am Kakashi Hitaki and this is Itachi Uchiha. We will be the senseis of Team 7. "How about our third team member?" Sasuke asked. "You two were personally chosen by the Hokage to form your own squad. We have 2 genin and 2 junin to maintain the 4-man squad, even though it is customary to have 3 genin and 1 junin," Itachi said. "Any other questions?" "All right, then." Kakashi said, "Come meet us at the Hokage Tower at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning," as he and Itachi walked away. The final one to come forward was a young woman in her lower 20s, dressed in a tan trenchcoat, a fishnet bodysuit, and a short orange skirt. "Seiko Takasu, Akina Kasuki, and Sakura Haruno. You can call me Anko Mitarashi. On Team 6, I'll be in charge of you maggots. On Monday, meet me at Training Ground 6 at 6 a.m. As everyone stood up and began to depart, Ino approached Naruto and Sasuke and accompanied them on their walk out. "Why were you and Sasuke assigned to a 2-man team, Naru-kun?" "We were wondering ourselves actually," Naruto replied. "Even more curious is why we got the 2 strongest Junin in the village as our senseis. Yay, my brother and Kakashi are the strongest 2 in the village besides the Hokage and the 2 remaining Sannin." Naruto said, "I guess we will find out tomorrow. Yay, everyone else gets a break, but we have to be at the Hokage's office early in the morning." Naruto smiled and said, "Bitching about it won't help anything." Sasuke smiled back, saying, "Fuck you." Naruto laughed as he snatched Ino and vanished in an instant, saying, "Well, I guess we should head out and enjoy our last day of freedom." When they returned to Naruto's living room, Ino remarked, "You know, no matter how many times you do that I never get used to it. I apologize. If it annoys you, I can stop. No, it's not that, it's actually exhilarating. Being that close to you and moving at the speed of light." Naruto winked and said, "Well then, I'm glad you like cuddling so much. So why are we here anyway, Naru-kun?" Ino asked with a smile. "I needed to go to my room and get something." Naruto said, "There we go, much better," as he hurried up the stairs, put on his coat, and ran back down. "I'll be right back." "Wow, Naru-kun. You look like a chibi.4th Hokage." "No, I've changed a bit." He turned around to reveal the kanji and smiled, only to be struck in the back of the head. gray with red flames, he said. Enough about you, idiot, Ino screamed. With a wink, Naruto remarked, Heh, it's still different Ino. Chan. How'd I look, anyway? According to Ino, you look great Naru.kun. You look damn sexy. I can't wait to tear you up, Ino said with an evil smile. Naruto approached her and planted a kiss on her head, saying, Thanks Ino. Chan, you look pretty damn good yourself. When he began to pull away, Ino grabbed his head and pressed his lips to hers, saying, Oh no you don't. He stood there for a moment, perplexed, and then he understood what she was doing. He put his arm around her waist and returned the kiss as they vanished in a flash of red and reappeared atop Hokage Mountain. As she stepped back to catch her breath, Ino exclaimed, Wow Naru.kun, that was amazing. For the longest time, the two simply stood there in each other's arms, gazing out at the village. At last, Ino turned to face Naruto, gave him another kiss, and exclaimed, Naru.kun, I'm so happy. I'm happy we're together. Naruto said, Me too Ino. Chan. He allowed his forehead to brush hers and gazed into her blue eyes. After a few minutes of staring into each other's eyes, Naruto's eyes widened and he said, Sorry, Ino. Chan, my dad is calling, I have to go. He held onto her and flashed to the flower shop, kissing her and saying goodbye before flashing away once more to the Hokage's office, where he appeared to find Kakashi standing next to him while Minato said, Hello son, glad you could make it so fast. I'll explain when Sasuke and Itachi get back. Minato said, Okay, Kakashi, Itachi, you already know some of the situation, after Itachi and Sasuke entered the room a short while later. You were supposed to go out tomorrow to protect a bridge builder in Wave Country, but we're sending you out earlier than planned because a scout just told us that some missing nin were spotted nearby. Protecting a bridge builder from bandits and mercenaries was originally a C-rank mission for Naruto and Sasuke, but it has since been upgraded to an A-rank mission with the potential to run into Junin. Level ninja attempting to attack him. Do you agree to this mission? The boys both said, Yes, Hokage. Sama. All right, come see us in an hour at the northern gate. Get ready for a 1-month mission. Dismissed. After giving Kakashi a seal tag, Naruto grabbed Sasuke's shoulder and vanished in a flash of red. When the two reached Sasuke's house, Naruto said, I'll be back in 30 minutes. Then he disappeared once more, going to his room to pack his clothes, then down to the armory to get extra supplies, sealing all the spares into scrolls, and then teleporting back to Sasuke's house. Sasuke was just outside when Naruto grabbed him and used the seal tag to teleport to the north gate, where he and Itachi were already waiting. So while other Genin teams get the weekend off and start D ranks Monday, we graduate and our first mission is an A rank on the same day. Are you guys withholding anything from us? Sasuke said. Well, let's just be honest, I guess. You are both well above Genin, or even Chunin, as you both know. To gain a sense of the outside world, the Hokage wanted you to go on a few C or B rank missions with us. After that, you would be promoted to Chunin and continue to go on missions for a while to gain experience leading them before moving on to Jonin, Kakashi stated. For that, don't we need to take the Chunin exams? Naruto asked. Normally, yes, but getting a field promotion is possible. As Kakashi mentioned, you would be promoted to Chunin within a few weeks. After that, you would each stay with this squad and lead a few missions, and we would make sure you were okay. After that, you would be promoted to Jonin, Itachi said. We were assigned to this team for that reason. Naruto remarked, My dad wants us to be Jonin before the rest of our class even takes their Chunin exams. Yes. Kakashi remarked, We are a team of prodigies, if you will. You are both very skilled, almost clones of myself and Itachi at your age. Kakashi is correct, you are both skilled enough to be Jonin. This team is just a formality really, and also just to be sure you are able to lead a team and make decisions under fire. The boys said, Understood. How far away from the wave are we now? Sasuke inquired. We are about halfway there, we should go ahead and set up camp for tonight and arrive tomorrow afternoon, Kakashi replied. All right, Naruto, you take the first watch, Itachi takes the second, Sasuke takes the third, and I'll take the fourth, the group said, stopping to set up camp in a clearing near a nearby stream, Kakashi said. As everyone except Naruto retired to their tent to rest, they all chanted, Yes sir. Konoha again. 3 hours prior. Sitting on her bed, Ino pondered why Naruto had to flee so abruptly. I sincerely hope all is well with you, Naru.kun, however, Ino. She yelled, 1 minute, as she got up and went downstairs to answer the door when she heard a knock. Naruto was standing there when she opened it, and she gave him a hug. Naru.kun, I was worried something was wrong. Actually, Ino. Chan, I am just a clone. My team was dispatched on an urgent mission to Wave Country. Naruto should return within the month. He told me to tell you that he is sorry for missing his date with you tomorrow, but that he will make it up when he returns. I know it doesn't mean the same since I am a clone, but he also said to give you this. Said the clone as it kissed. Ino replied. And finally Naruto told me to tell you to be careful and that he loves you. Ino asked, did he really say that? The clone winked and said, well, no, he didn't technically tell me to tell you, but I am him, so I know that he does love you very much. I love you too, Naru.kun, Ino said, giving the clone another kiss. When he said, I love you, Naru.kun, please come back safely, the clone dispelled itself. Ino returned to her room and sat on her bed, thinking, I can't believe he said he loves me, we've only been a couple of days. He must have meant it when he said he liked me for a long time before he got the courage to ask me out. During his watch shift, Naruto sat next to the fire. To avoid having to keep a close eye on things, he had his clones positioned throughout the camp. I'm sorry I had to save Ino. Chan, he thought as he sat there looking at the fire. I'm hoping you'll pardon me. Ino. Chan, you have my love. Naruto went to rest, and Itachi soon emerged to take his place. They got up the following morning, had a quick breakfast, and then set out once more. After running for a few minutes, Kakashi signaled for everyone to stop by raising his hand. They all crouched on the side of the road, watching for any danger, when two men emerged from a pool of water, bound together by a spiked chain. Kakashi asked, the Demon Brothers, to what do we owe the honor? We are here to keep you away from the bridge builder. Turn back now and you will be spared, Gozu replied. With a bored tone, Kakashi stated, our mission is to protect the bridge builder. If necessary, we will kill you to accomplish it. Maizu exclaimed, okay, then, we'll do this the hard way. As the two leapt in the direction of Sasuke, who was the closest of them. They barely got there before Naruto appeared behind Maizu, holding a lightning release Rasengan, as his right arm was blown from his body. Maizu let out a painful scream before hurling multiple kunai in Naruto's direction. After avoiding them without incident, Naruto performed some hand seals. He yelled, fire release, fireball jutsu, and then blasted a medium-sized ball of fire in Maizu's direction. After barely avoiding the fireball, Maizu started to run back towards Naruto, but he was only 2 steps away when he heard 1,000 birds chirping behind him. Naruto's hand was forced through his former chest before he could even react. Naruto exclaimed, Chidori, as Maizu's remains collapsed to the ground, lifeless. Gozu rushed towards Sasuke with his clawed gauntlet ready to strike while Naruto battled Maizu. Sasuke sidestepped the blow, leapt to his feet, and whirled around, slamming his foot into Gozu's face and sending him crashing to the ground. Since the fight was between 2 Chunin-level missing nin and 2 Jonin-level shinobi, Kakashi and Itachi just watched it with boredom. Before hurling himself at Sasuke once more, Gozu swiftly climbed out of the crater his body had created and unfastened the chain from his gauntlet. Sasuke just dodged the man's clawed hand swipe before slamming an uppercut into his stomach and sending him flying. Gozu was about to fall again after reaching his peak when Sasuke materialized above him and kicked him in the face with an axe, sending him flying to the ground and unconscious. Kakashi walked over and hefted Gozu onto his shoulder before tying him to a tree and saying, well done you too. Then Itachi approached and woke him up by punching him in the face. What the fuck do you want? I won't tell you shit, he spat at Itachi after waking up. Itachi turned on his Mangekyo Sharingan and gazed into the man's eyes as his body went limp, saying, perhaps this will change your mind. All of a sudden, Gozu was in a black dot and white world with an odd red moon hanging over it. Gazing down at Itachi, he was shackled to a cross with barbed wire. As a sword materialized in his hand, he approached Gozu and stabbed him in the leg. My name is Itachi Uchiha. In this world I control everything, space, matter, even time. 3 days in here is only 1 second in the real world. If you do not tell me what I wish to know, then I will torture you for 3 days and 3 nights. Fuck off, I won't say anything, he angrily screamed. Itachi chopped off the man's limbs one by one before chopping off his head, saying, okay, then, have it your way. Then Gozu's body came back to full health, and he screamed in agony and fear. Have you decided to talk yet? Never, Gozu gritted his teeth and said. As the sword transformed into a kunai and Itachi started to remove Gozu's skin, starting at his ankles and working his way up, he said, as you wish. Last chance to talk, or I will skin your balls over and over again for 2 days and 20 hours, he said, placing the kunai to Gozu's balls after he reached the thigh. Gozu whimpered, fuck you, as Itachi began chopping his balls apart one by one. As Itachi went on, Gozu let out a painful scream, The cycle was restarted when he finished by stabbing Gozu's eye with the kunai. Please God, no more. What do you want to know? Gozu asked. Itachi asked, who sent you here? A businessman named Gato. He says that this bridge will hurt his business interests in Wave Country, so he wants the bridge builder dead. Gozu, who was crying, said. Where can I find this Gato? He has a base just west of town, heavily guarded by mercenaries. The only other ninja he has are Zabuza Momoichi and a girl named Haku, an ice-style Kekai Genkai user. As the outside world vanished and he returned to reality, Itachi remarked, very well then. As Sasuke killed Gozu by stabbing him in the eye with a kunai, Itachi remarked, we have all we need. Sasuke, kill him. Kakashi asked, so Itachi, what did you figure out? He was hired by a man named Gato, who has a base a couple miles west of Wave Country. Gato has also hired Zabuza Momoichi, and an ice-style user named Haku. Kakashi grinned and said, Zabuza, the demon of the mist? Sounds like a good test for our students, doesn't it, Itachi? Indeed it does. Let's move out again before our client winds up dead. Naruto, did you get the head of your kill? No, why would I take his head? In order to claim the bounty you must return proof that you killed the ninja. Seal this one's head and some of the ashes of the other into a scroll and let's move. Yes sir. After cutting off the head of the demon brother who was bound to the tree, Naruto collected the head of the other brother, disintegrated it, and sealed it in a scroll that he placed in his pocket. After he finished, they resumed their journey towards the Wave Country. The man they were searching for was waiting for them at a boat dock when they reached the border. He was an old man with a sharp straw hat, glasses, and an alcoholic odor. Both Naruto and Sasuke growled in rage when they approached him and he exclaimed, I thought I hired ninja for this mission, not a bunch of kids. The black-haired one looks like a damn emo and the blonde looks like a fucking hyperactive retard. In an attempt to defuse the situation, Kakashi calmly responded, I assure you Tazuna-san, we are the best team possible for this mission. Tazuna muttered, could have fooled me, as the group boarded a boat to go to her island home. He led them to his house to unpack as soon as they got there. Kakashi suddenly yelled, get down, about halfway there, and everyone fell to the deck, Naruto tackling Tazuna as a big sword whizzed over their head and lodged in the bridge's wall. Upon landing on top of the sword, a big man, about 6 feet 6 inches, wearing striped pants and no shirt, and wearing a mask that resembled Kakashi's, turned to face the group. Kakashi said, Zabuza Momoichi, the demon of the mist. I see you've heard of me then, copy ninja Kakashi. You've also got the Uchiha prodigy Itachi with you. Who are the brats? That is none of your concern, Zabuza. We're here to protect Tazuna and we will not fail, Itachi replied. Kakashi asked, so Zabuza, where is your partner at anyways? She is around. That is all you need to know. As he lifted his headband to reveal his Sharingan, Kakashi said, well, I take it you won't give up and leave. As he leapt to the ground and performed a series of hand seals, Zabuza said, you're smarter than you look, Kakashi. Hiding in the mist technique. The group's final sight was Zabuza grabbing his sword and vanishing into the mist. There are 8 locations on the human body that result in immediate death. Which one will it be? The heart, kidneys, liver, jugular, larynx, spine, or lungs? Zabuza's voice seemed to come from everywhere in the fog. As they circled Tazuna, Kakashi remarked, everyone be alert, he is a master of the silent killing technique. A voice whispered in Kakashi's ear from behind, how right you are, Kakashi. Kakashi turned around and plunged a kunai into Zabuza's stomach as the man groaned in agony, then transformed into a splash of water. As he kept looking around for Zabuza, Kakashi thought, damn, a water clone. Suddenly, he heard metal hitting metal to his right, and he turned to see Naruto using a kunai to parry Zabuza's large sword. Very impressive. Zabuza broke the contact and jumped back into the mist, Naruto trailing behind him. You are obviously no ordinary genin, he said. No, Naruto. Kakashi shouted in vain. Zabuza, who Naruto had not seen before, appeared behind him, swinging his Zanbato in a sideways arc, just as he was about to vanish into the mist. The sword sliced through him, cleaving him in two, and then he vanished in a puff of smoke. Dude. When he heard a whistling sound behind him, Zabuza swore and quickly turned to avoid the attack, but he was not entirely successful as it brushed past his arm, cutting it multiple times before blowing him several feet away. Rasengan, Futon. As the attack dealt as much damage as it could, Naruto uttered those words before launching himself and his team back into formation. As Naruto came back, Kakashi praised him, saying, "Impressive Naruto, you managed to land a blow on an A-rank missing nin." As Zabuza reappeared in front of them, this time with his left arm hanging numbly at his side, Naruto remarked, thanks Kakashi. Sensei. Well Zabuza, you are in no shape to fight, I suggest you leave the bridge builder alone and leave. With Kabikuraboshu ready to strike, Zabuza leapt at the group again and swung down, attempting to cleave Kakashi in half but being stopped by Itachi. Not gonna happen. Demon of the Mist, you really are a pain in the ass. Before kicking Zabuza away and performing hand seals more quickly than the eye could follow, Itachi remarked, you had your opportunity to leave, it ends now. Water release. Water dragon bullet. As the air mist condensed into a huge water dragon, it struck Zabuza, knocking him into a nearby tree and into unconsciousness. Akiri Hunter Nin fell from the nearby trees as the team made their way to Zabuza to complete the task. The hunter. Nin's voice was feminine as she said, ah, thank you for helping me capture this one, I've been after him for some time now. No issue, Hunter.san. Do you want us to murder him and dispose of his body right away? Knowing that this Hunter.nin was Zabuza's partner, Kakashi answered. Just before she had to dodge a kunai, the Hunter.nin said, no thank you Konoha.san. I will dispose of him later. She was not quick enough to deflect the one that had embedded itself in Zabuza's chest, though. Then the sounds of 1,000 birds began to chirp, and Haku turned to see Kakashi racing toward them with Chidori in hand. She hurried to Zabuza and seized him, then fled as soon as Kakashi had passed through the area where they were. Kakashi turned back to the group and remarked, damn, I wasn't quick enough. I'm sure you all know that Zabuza isn't dead, he said. He will return to try again in a week, based on his injuries, he stated, receiving 3 nods in agreement. Following the fight, the group spent the remainder of the day with Tazuna on the bridge before spending the night at his house. The following 4 days passed without any problems. Sasuke and Itachi spent the first half of the day watching Tazuna while Naruto and Kakashi trained, and then they switched places for the second half. When Itachi and Sasuke reached the bridge on the 5th day, they were startled to see a dense fog covering the entire structure and all of the workers who appeared to be dead lying on the ground. Itachi immediately made a shadow clone and sent it back towards Tazuna's house to pick up Naruto and Kakashi, while he and Sasuke took up defensive positions around Tazuna. As Itachi's clone fell into the clearing next to Tazuna's house with Kakashi and Naruto, it said, the bridge is being attacked, Itachi requests you two come immediately. As the clone vanished, Kakashi remarked, okay, we'll be there in a minute. You big jerk, leave my mom alone. The voice of a small child yelled from close to the house. Dude. Before running back to the house, Kakashi gave the order, Naruto, go onto the bridge with Itachi. I'll meet you there in a bit. When he returned, he discovered 2 thugs, one holding Tsunami and the other heading toward Inari. I swear to God that if you touch my son, I'll drown on my blood and bite my tongue off, Tsunami screamed as the thug approached Inari. With a great deal of murderous intent, Kakashi stated bluntly, I advise you to let her go. The second thug froze in place but managed to stay conscious, but he soon realized that was not necessarily a good thing as Kakashi appeared in front of him and buried a kunai up to the hilt in his forehead before ripping it back out and throwing it into the one who passed out. The thug who held onto Tsunami immediately swore and passed out from the feel of the killing intent. Kakashi.san. Thank you for saving us. As she rushed up to kiss Kakashi on the cheek. More accurately, the mask where his cheek should be. Tsunami yelled, that made the point clear. Kakashi shunned away and remarked, it's no problem Tsunami.san, but I must be going now. In a flash of red light, Naruto vanished from the clearing and then reappeared beside Sasuke in what appeared to be a dome of ice. Mirrors. Haku was nowhere to be seen, and Sasuke appeared somewhat battered but uninjured. What's happening? As he searched for his opponent, Naruto asked. I can't even follow her with my Sharingan because she teleports between these mirrors at such high speeds. I haven't been able to land a hit because she moves so quickly, and I was unable to escape. When Haku suddenly materialized in every mirror at once, Naruto said, I see. He then took out a 3-prong kunai and threw it outside of the mirrors. She hurled a barrage of senbon needles at the two, saying, yes it's true, in here, I am nigh invincible. Now you are trapped in here with him. Naruto put his hand on Sasuke's shoulder and vanished in a flash of red, saying, I don't think so. How did you get away? I don't need to give a puppet an explanation of myself. Get ready to die, Naruto answered. I can't pass away here. If necessary, I will kill you, but I will keep Zabuza-sama safe. I don't think so. A Rasenrikurai materialized in Naruto's right hand before being hurled at Haku's ice mirror. We have a mission to complete and you stand in our way, Naruto said. Nothing can shatter my ice mirrors, fool. Just before the attack began, Haku said, I was right, it dissolved the mirror instead of breaking it. she barely made it out in time. How? In response, a Naruto clone appeared out of nowhere, kicked her in the neck with an axe, then twisted his body and kicked her again, sending her hurtling in the direction of Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke shouted, "Fire release! Grand Fireball Jutsu!" as he swiftly went through some hand seals. Before exhaling, a huge ball of fire swept over Haku for a few seconds before dissipating, leaving a girl on the ground in front of the two, burned and covered in blood. With his sword drawn and ready to strike, Zabuza rushed in on Itachi and said, "You'll pay for what you did to me earlier." He yelled as he slashed towards Itachi. Itachi simply parried with a kunai before leaping back to put distance between them. As soon as Itachi moved, Zabuza started doing hand seals, which Itachi was copying with his Sharingan. They finished at the same time and both called out, "Water release! Water dragon missile just do!" as two enormous dragons emerged from the water beneath the bridge and engaged in combat above them. "How did you jutsu copy?" Zabuza started, but Itachi interrupted. Itachi replied, "My eyes can see everything." In response, Zabuza charged back in and swung down at Itachi, and after a brief Kenjutsu duel, Zabuza broke away and started hand seals again, which Itachi imitated. "How are you able to imitate my jutsu before I do?" Zabuza shouted, becoming sidetracked and pausing the hand seals as Itachi went on. "The future? Can you see?" As he completed the seals, "Water release, water bullets," Itachi said, "Yes, I can." The distracted Zabuza was then knocked backwards by a medium-sized ball of water that Itachi spat out. "And death is your destiny." Zabuza turned slightly as the last second of the attack missed his heart, but Kakashi's voice echoed over the chirping of 1,000 birds as he rammed a Chidori through Zabuza's chest. "Sorry I'm late, I got lost on the..." As Kakashi dropped Zabuza's body to the ground, Itachi interrupted him with a laugh and said, "Shut the fuck up." Soon after, Haku awoke and turned to go, saying, "Zabuza, Sama no." After just a few steps, Naruto materialized in front of her, holding a wind release Rasengan, and pushed it through her chest. Haku said, Zabuza. Sama, I'm sorry, I failed you," as her life left her. When they sensed a surge of chakra behind them, Kakashi and Itachi started to approach to see how Naruto and Sasuke were doing, but they turned in time to see Zabuza standing up with a hole through the right side of his chest. "Where is Haku?" He let out a growl. "Hunter.nin. She must be dead by now," Kakashi remarked casually. "Bastards. I'll murder you both," with a roar, Zabuza charged at Itachi and Kakashi. Rasen Shuriken, the wind release. As a huge chakra shuriken flew past them and collided with Zabuza, Naruto's voice could hardly be heard over the bell. Like screech in the air. The attack curved upwards, carrying Zabuza 15 feet into the air before expanding in a blinding flash of light, destroying his chakra network. When the light faded away, Zabuza fell back to the ground, still alive but not moving. "You little shit, what the fuck did you do to me?" Zabuza screamed. "I just destroyed your entire network of chakras, you're practically dead." "Bullshit. No attack is capable of doing that, mine just did." "Gosh." Itachi examined it with his Sharingan and said, "He's right, it's completely shredded, nothing remains of his chakra coils and tenketsu." "Fuck you. Get it over with and just kill me," Naruto, hefting Zabuza's sword off the ground and cleaving his head off, said, "All right then, as you wish." With a broad smile, Naruto sealed Zabuza's sword in a scroll after he had killed him, saying, "Spoils of war. You have been restraining us, Naruto, haven't you?" "Damn you," Kakashi said. "Yay, I can't use most of my better attacks in spars because they are too dangerous." "Well, I've seen. Well, killing Gato is the only thing left to do," Kakashi said. "Let's return to Tazuna's and rest. We'll worry about Gato in the morning." "Yeah, I can agree with that. I am exhausted just from watching that," Tazuna said as she approached. "All right. Let's continue back then," Itachi said. After agreeing that the primary threat had been eliminated, they all went to Tazuna's house to rest for the night. The following morning, they arose and had breakfast together to discuss the strategy for Gato's assassination. "Have you stated that you intend to murder Gato? All of you are insane. He killed my father, and no one can beat him," a young Inari who had just descended the stairs said. Tsunami responded, "Now, Inari, calm down. These guys are here to help us." "No, Mom. They're all idiots who will die just like Daddy." As he dashed back up the stairs, Inari said. Tsunami frowned and said, "I'm sorry about Inari everyone. He's still hurt because Gato had my husband publicly executed for standing up against him." "It's okay. I can relate to his suffering because I lost my father when I was his age and became resentful of the world for a while. Kakashi said, I'll go talk to him and see if I can help. It'll pass eventually. Tsunami's frown slightly relaxed as she said, if you want, I'd really appreciate it. Kakashi knocked on the door after ascending the stairs to Inari's room. Leave. Inari shouted. Hey, Inari, could we have a brief conversation? No, I'd rather not speak. Leave. It will improve your mood, so hurry up, Inari. I am aware of your struggles. When I was a little younger than you, I lost my father. Kakashi heard Inari rise and move to the door, which he opened and said, Come on in. Look, I understand your pain, Inari, said Kakashi as he entered and took a seat on the edge of her bed. When I was 8 years old, my father passed away. Like you, I was angry at the world and attempted to place the blame for what transpired on everyone in my immediate vicinity. I didn't realize I was mistaken until I lost my best friend in battle. I was upset, and one day I argued with my dad about something he said. Later that day, my team was ambushed, and my friend was killed. We reconciled with his final breaths, and I came to the realization that my behavior toward everyone was inappropriate. I don't want you to become like me, Inari. You can see that you're mistaken about this without losing a close friend. Trust me when I say that, aside from our Hokage, my team consists of the 4 strongest individuals in our village. To exact revenge for the death of your father, we will murder Gato. Kakashi patted Inari's shoulder as he began to cry, saying, You're right, I have been acting like a big baby over all of this, and it was stupid. I apologize for shouting at everyone earlier. As I mentioned before, Inari, you were simply confused, so don't worry about it. Instead of a tragedy occurring, I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk and help you move past it. Thank you, sir. It was really beneficial to me. You're welcome. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got an appointment with Gato. Everyone was waiting for him downstairs when Kakashi returned. Are you all set? As they all stood up and departed the house, Kakashi said, Okay, then let's move out. After leaving the house, they headed west until they came to a stop when they could make out Gato's mansion in the distance. So how are we going to do this? Sasuke asked. Don't die, and leave no survivors behind. You'll enter from the east, Naruto from the south, Itachi from the north, and me from the west. As you approach the center, be on the lookout for friendly forces, but kill every one of his men you cross. When it's time to attack, I'll give the radio signal, so everyone should position themselves. As they hurried off to take their places, everyone simultaneously said, Yes sir. Kakashi soon approached and remarked, Are you all set? Naruto. Itachi. Sasuke. As an explosion tore across the western portion of the compound, Kakashi remarked, Okay then, give em hell. Naruto hurried through some hand seals and exclaimed, Wind style. Wind dragon missile jutsu. As a massive tornado developed and began to rage through the compound, it took the shape of a dragon. As he spat out a huge column of fire that formed into a dragon and began crashing into the building, causing it to catch fire, Itachi performed his own hand seals on the north side and uttered the words, Fire style. Fire dragon jutsu. Sasuke created his own fire dragon on the east end, which began to tear through the structure. Kakashi had destroyed the wall on the west side and was now using his Chidori to murder men one by one. He got up 4 stories in the air in a cloud of smoke with Naruto on the south, biting his thumb and running through some hand seals before slamming his palm to the ground. Hello Bunta. Would you mind destroying this sick jerk? This is our first meeting, the new summoner. I'll assist you, but please be aware that I don't like being called for pointless nonsense, unless it's to get drinks. Naruto tapped his radio and said, Everyone clear the building, it's about to come down. This instance is okay, I shall have fun. Kakashi clear. Sasuke out. Itachi is clear. Give them hell. Bunta. Naruto shouted as Gamabunta started hopping around smashing man and building alike and slashing into the buildings with his Tonto. Naruto ran through a set of hand seals as a Rasenraikai formed in each hand and he said, Rasenraikai barrage. He vaporized everything in their path as he fired off one after another. Team Prodigy leveled Gato's mansion in 5 minutes flat. They all gathered in the middle of the trash and spread out to find Gato's body and kill any remaining members. After a few minutes of searching, Kakashi called out on the radio, I've got confirmation here. He flared his chakra to help the others locate him. They gathered all the other bodies, carried them to the center of the field behind the mansion, and burned them. Itachi found Gato's bank book, copied the handwriting with his Sharingan, and transferred all of his money to Konoha. They all converged on Gato's body, lying under his desk, dead from what appeared to be smoke inhalation. They also cut off his head and sealed it into the scroll with all of the other kills. After returning to Tezuna's house, they watched him construct the bridge uninterrupted for the next 2 days, When he was finished, everyone said their goodbyes, and Team Prodigy set off for the Leaf Village. After returning to Konoha 2 days later, they went to the Hokage's office for their debriefing. Minato said, "Enter," as the team entered and bowed to Kakashi when he knocked on the door. Minato said, "Report. Sir, we came across the Demon Brothers on the way to Wave. Naruto swiftly killed one of them, and Sasuke eliminated the other. We then questioned the latter to learn more about Gato, the man responsible for everything. We learned that he had employed Haku, an ice-style user, and Zabuza Momoichi, another missing nin. While Naruto and Sasuke killed Haku, Itachi and I fought Zabuza. However, Naruto actually delivered the final blow to both Haku and Zabuza. The following day, we attacked Gato's compound and killed him and all of his men after taking the day off. Itachi moved all of Gato's money to Konoha's account after stealing his bank book. All right. Have any of you got anything more to contribute?" As everyone nodded their heads no, Minato said. "All right, well done on a job well done. Kakashi, Itachi, based on what I've heard, would you suggest that your students be promoted to Chunin?" As Itachi simply nodded, Kakashi said, "Yes sir, they both exhibited the qualities expected of a Chunin." Minato gave each of them a green vest and said, "Well then, Naruto, Sasuke, congratulations on your promotion." Both boys bowed and said, "Thank you, Hokage-sama." Minato handed them each an envelope and said, "By the way, here is your mission, pay everyone." As he took out his scroll and opened the remains of the Demon Brothers, Haku, Zabuza, and Gato, Naruto said, "Actually Dad, we also have 3, possibly 4 or 5 bounties to collect. We know that there was a bounty on the Demon Brothers and Zabuza but are unsure of Haku and Gato." "Yes, there is a bounty on Gato, but there is no listing for Haku," Minato said, picking up a bingo book and flipping through it. "As soon as the bounty is returned, I will send for it and have it deposited into your account." "No Dad, don't give it all to me. This is a team effort, so we should split the money between us." "All right, son, that is really admirable of you. When the money arrives, I will divide it and distribute it. You are all dismissed. Thank you." Naruto teleported home to take a bath after they all left the office, and then he teleported to Ino's house, knocked on the door, and when she saw it was his, she threw him into the street and gave him a tight hug. "I was so worried, Naru-kun. I apologized to Ino-chan, but in order to guarantee success, an urgent assignment had to be moved up. But I'm sorry I had to miss our date," he said, leaning in to give her a kiss. "Don't be alarmed, Naru-kun. We can make up for it later. I cherish you. I love you too, Ino-chan." Rewind, 4 years prior. With a piece of tape covering one eye, the man said, "Minato, we have to act against them right away to protect our village." "What gives you the impression that they are planning anything?" Minato said. The one-eyed man handed Minato a scroll and said, "My root agents have been investigating, last night they discovered this. Top secret mission order for Agent Raven. You are hereby ordered to assassinate the 4th Hokage within the week." Minato read the scroll to himself. "We will reject any proof that we were involved in the situation if you are apprehended. This is the best course of action for the village. It is not an optional mission. Immediately destroy this message." "This is hard for me to believe. I am familiar with Itachi. He would not be apprehended if he were a traitor. It's clear that Danzo falsified this letter, but why would he want to turn me against the Uchiha?" "I understand. I'll investigate this more, but for the time being, nothing needs to be done," Minato stated. "You idiot, are you blind to what's happening here?" Danzo slammed his fist against the desk and yelled. "I'm in charge here, damn it, and you won't misbehave in front of me again. There will be an investigation into the situation," Minato yelled as he leapt to his feet and threw his chair back against the wall. "Do you get what I mean when I say that no action will be taken until then? You are blind to the... Do you understand what I'm saying?" Minato yelled as he focused all of his murderous energy on Danzo. Danzo turned to go, but before he could get away, 2 figures emerged from the shadows. "Yes, Hokage-sama," he spat. "Itachi, Kakashi, until I say otherwise, I want 3 Anbu teams to be on guard around the Uchiha compound. We don't want the rest of your clan to become alarmed and make things worse, so be careful not to tell them. This secret belongs to the SS class. Make sure to swear them to secrecy and only tell those who need to know." As the 2 Anbu shunned away, Minato said, "You have your orders, dismissed." The following morning, Minato said, his face displaying anger, "Report. These 2 men were discovered trying to enter the Uchiha compound covertly last night, sir. They committed suicide after being captured, despite our best efforts to capture them alive. It's okay. Get Danzo for me and take them to the mortuary." As his team picked up 2 bodies off the ground and shinned away, an ANBU said, "Yes sir." After Minato went back to his desk and began reviewing his reports and the information he had on hand, he heard a knock on the door and said, "Enter." "Hokage, you wanted to see me?" Danzo said. "Yes, Danzo. By attacking the Uchiha compound last night, you disregarded my explicit orders. Since you have given me no other option, you are hereby deprived of all authority. I insist that Root be dissolved right away. If you are discovered to be carrying on with Root, you will be put to death right away. This cannot be done to me. This village will collapse without my Root," Danzo screamed. "Danzo, I can and did. Root is finished, and I meant it. Now get out of my sight. You see Minato, after waiting, without me, this village cannot survive." As 2 ANBUs showed up and drugged him out the door, Danzo said. "Today, we'll make it up, you say?" Naruto said, grinning malevolently. Ino winked at him and said in her seductive voice, "Of course Naru.kun. I enjoy the sound of that." Naruto winked back, saying, "How about some dinner for now? We can save it for later." "I'm good with that. Let's go," as she took Naruto's hand and dragged him away, Ino said. They showed up in a small restaurant a short while later. Soon after, a waitress approached the table to take their order. Naruto said, "Please, I'll have some miso ramen." As the waitress left, Ino said, "Just a small salad for me." You know Ino, as a ninja, you're not eating enough calories. You have to eat better where you'll have more energy for training and missions. "But Naruto, I've got to watch my figure. A body doesn't look this good on its own," she said as she raised her hand. "Ino, you don't have to worry so much about that. You need to eat healthier. I don't care if you gain a few pounds, I would love you anyways." "Ah, do you really mean that, Naru.kun? Of course I do, Ino-chan. I love you for you, not your looks. Of course being smokin' hot is kinda nice," Naruto said to himself. Ino leaned across the table and gave him a cheek kiss, saying, "Naruto.kun, that's the sweetest thing anyone has ever said to me." When their food arrived a few minutes later, Ino began to eat her salad. Simply sitting there, Naruto observed her beauty and reflected on it. "But that's your food, Naru.kun. But that's your food, Naru.kun. But I'll be fine. I know you must be starving though after a diet like you have been on." "No, Naru.kun. I can't eat your food, I'll just start eating healthy tomorrow." "Ino-chan, I promise I'm fine. Here." Naruto pushed his order to her side of the table after she finished the salad. After a brief moment of hesitation, Ino allowed him to feed it to her. Her eyes went wide when she tasted the real thing for the first time in God knows how long, and she almost swallowed the remaining ramen before realizing what she had done. As tears started to well up in her eyes, she turned to face Naruto and said, "Oh my god, Naru.kun. I'm so sorry, you must think I'm a pig." Ino simply looked up at Naruto and grinned as he said, "Don't worry about it, Ino-chan. Like I said, I'll love you no matter what." Naruto simply reached across the table and placed his hands on top of hers. As Ino began to get up, Naruto took out some cash and placed it on the table. As they vanished and resurfaced atop Mount Hokage, Naruto simply glanced at her and smiled. He took out a scroll once more and opened it to reveal a blanket. He gestured for Ino to join him as he laid the blanket out on the floor and took a seat. Following his instructions, she approached him, sat between his legs, and leaned back against his chest. Naruto placed his chin on Ino's shoulder and put his arms around her waist. For the longest time, the couple sat there, watched the sun set, and laughed and chatted until Naruto said, "Well, it's getting late, I better get you home before your dad kills me." They got up and closed the blanket again, and then Naruto grabbed Ino's waist and they were gone in a flash of red. Before Naruto left for his house, they kissed again when they appeared in the street in front of Ino's house. Naruto was enjoying the pleasant evening as he strolled along when he became aware that he was being followed. Pretending not to notice, he continued walking along while calmly reaching into his coat and grabbing one of his prom kunai. His shadow approached him a bit more after a few more blocks, so he turned to face them. He asked, "Why are you following me?" A female voice that Naruto vaguely recognized said, "I came to ask if you wanted to go out on a date with me sometime." "And just who are you?" As she emerged from the shadows, the voice said, "My name is Hinata Hyuga." "Well, Hinata, in case you didn't know, I'm dating Ino-chan, and I am quite happy with her. And for future reference, I wouldn't follow people. I almost killed you just now," said Naruto as he raised his kunai. "Sorry about following you. I was just waiting until we made it away from Ino's house." "So you know about me and Ino-chan," yet you still ask me out? Yes, I love you Naruto-kun. Well I'm sorry Hinata, I love Ino-chan. No, what does she have that I don't? It isn't about what either of you have or don't have. I just love her and that isn't going to change. As she approached, Hinata said in a seductive tone, oh really? She was wearing a low-cut shirt that exposed a lot of cleavage. As she approached him more closely, she asked, like what you see Naruto-kun? Naruto said, Hinata, stop this. I told you, I love Ino. She approached him within a few feet and rubbed his chest, saying, well, let's just see if I can change that then. Then Naruto began to back away, saying, nothing will change my mind Hinata you might as well stop this. She encircled his waist with her arms, drawing him close while pressing her chest against his. Come on Naruto-kun at least give me a chance, please, she said. He pushed her away from him and said, Hinata, I'm not going to say it again. I love Ino. Nothing you say or do will change that. Now please leave me alone. Hinata stood there with tears welling up in her eyes as Naruto turned and walked home. No one else can have Naruto-kun if I can't. Watch out for your back bitch. With her Byakugan active, Hinata turned back toward Ino's house and thought. The remainder of Naruto's journey went smoothly. He arrived home, got a snack from the refrigerator, and went upstairs to sleep. Like any other morning, he showered when he woke up the following day and went down for breakfast. He went to Sasuke's house to check on him after eating breakfast because he had the day off. 2 guards in Konoha Chunin attire met him as he approached the Uchiha compound's gates. Hello Naruto-san how are you today? I'm fine, is Sasuke around today? Actually Naruto-san, I think he is out training with Itachi-sama today. Is it something important? Naruto bowed and turned to leave, saying, no, it's nothing. Thank you. I have nothing to do today. Sasuke is occupied with Itachi, and Ino is with her team. Perhaps I can locate someone who can instruct me in the use of Zabuza's sword. However, who among my acquaintances is proficient in Kenjutsu? When Naruto heard the words, Yash, your flames of youth burn as bright as ever Lee. He stopped and turned to face the training ground where the noise was coming from. There, he saw a tall man wearing green tights, a Junin vest, and a bowl haircut sobbing anime tears while a smaller version of himself, without the vest, was performing one-armed push-ups. Naruto was still walking down the street, trying to think of someone who could teach him Kenjutsu. Standing close by, observing, were a younger man wearing a white jacket, black shorts, and long black hair, as well as a younger-looking girl wearing brown pants and a white Chinese-style shirt with 2 buns in her hair. As the girl with the buns punched him in the back of the head, the smaller green-clad ninja said, if I can't do 501 armed push-ups, I'll do 1000 squat thrusts. If I can't do that, I'll run around Konoha 500 times on my hands. The Junin saw Naruto standing there at that moment. Ah, we have a spectator. The youthful son of our youthful Hokage is watching our progress. How are you today Naruto-kun? As he said, I'm doing fine, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. Naruto began to approach them. Yash. I'm a might guy. The beautiful blue beast of Konoha. And these are my youthful students. Neji, Tenten, and Rock Lee. Naruto bowed and said, nice to meet all of you, I am Naruto Namikaze. Hello Naruto-san. I am Neji Hyuga. This is Rock Lee. Despite my inability to use Gen or ninjutsu, I still want to become a great ninja. Hi, Naruto. I am Tenten, Konoha's weapons mistress.in, training. So Naruto-kun, I thought you just became a genin a couple of weeks ago? Guy replied. Yay, I graduated not too long ago. Why? If you were a rookie genin, then why do you wear the vest of a chunin? They promoted me in Sasuke a couple days ago. Yash. Lee. His flames of youth burn brightly. He is but a rookie and made chunin already. Yes, Guy. Sensei, I have to put in a lot of effort to turn into a chickeni as soon as possible. Lee. Guy. Sensei. Lee. Guy. Sensei. Lee. Guy. Sensei. Does this happen often? Naruto asked Tenten as he leaned over. Sighing, Tenten said, unfortunately, I'm so sorry. You get used to it after a while. I'm not aware of that. Anyway, Naruto turned to go, saying, nice meeting all of you, but I've got to run. Yash. Naruto-san. To find out whose youthful flames burn brighter, you must spar with me, Lee yelled. Naruto turned back to Lee and walked to the center of the field, saying, okay, I guess I can do that. Are you ready? As he dropped into a ready stance, Naruto said. Leave. Lee roared as he rushed forward at breakneck speed. Naruto did not anticipate Lee's speed, so he failed to raise his guard in time, and Lee landed a kick to the side of Naruto's head, sending him flying. Naruto landed on his feet just in time to dodge a punch, and Lee threw him on the defensive with a barrage of punches and kicks, causing him to dodge blow after blow until he finally left an opening and Naruto kicked low. Lee leapt over the kick and performed his own spin kick, which struck Naruto's ribcage, sending him flying once more. Naruto righted himself in midair once more as he performed some hand seals and exclaimed, "Wonderful breakthrough," as a wall of wind slammed into Lee, stopping his new charge. Lee landed on his feet and resumed his ready stance as Naruto went through another set of hand seals and said, "Water style, water bullet jutsu," as he started spitting out several balls of water, which Lee dodged with ease as he charged at Naruto again. As Lee began his charge, Naruto pulled out a kunai and threw it at Lee. Lee sighed. Stepped the kunai as Naruto disappeared in flash of red. Before Lee knew what happened, he heard, "Water style, water prison jutsu," come from behind him as he was immobilized in a large ball of water. "Good fight, Lee," said Naruto. "Yosh! Naruto win!" guys shouted. "Well done, Naruto.kun. You are going to be my constant rival from now on. One day, I will demonstrate that my youthful flames are more intense than yours. I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups as a punishment for losing," Lee yelled as he dropped into push-up position. As Naruto turned to face the other members of the team, Lee said, "If I can't do 1,000 push-ups, I'll run. Well guys, thanks for having me, I'm heading on further. Squat thrusts, I will do." Lee went on until Tenten punched him once more. "See ya around, Naruto," Tenten remarked as Naruto left. "I guess I'll just go home and train a little bit. I didn't find a teacher, but at least I made some new friends and burned some time." Jiraiya and Tsunade were playing chess together on the couch in his living room when Naruto vanished in a red flash and returned. He was about to leave when Jiraiya said, "Hold up, Naruto, I need to talk to you." As he moved one more piece, Tsunade yelled, "Damn it, I never win anything," and leapt to her feet. "Checkmate," as she smashed the chessboard and table into the floor. Jiraiya and Naruto both sweat. Dropped a little bit and scurried off to the backyard as Tsunade sat back down on the couch and pouted. Once they got out back, Jiraiya said, "So Naruto, have you spoken with Gamabunta yet?" "Well, on my most recent mission, I had a brief conversation with him. To assist in demolishing Gado's compound, I called upon him." "Why?" "Normally, a person must speak with the head summon before signing a summon contract, but in your case, Bunta gave us permission to sign you and said you could speak with them later. Why don't you call him so that you two can speak?" "What talk? He simply needs to get to know you, as I mentioned, so you can get to know him. Kichi appeared to like you so that you could call upon him as well." Naruto smacked his hand against the ground, bit his thumb, and ran through some hand seals before saying, "All right then. Summoning jutsu." A huge cloud of smoke formed as he was finishing, and Gamabunta, Gamakichi, and another toad about Kichi's size but yellow emerged from it. "Hello Jiraiya, Naruto," said Bunta. Kichi jumped on top of Naruto's head and said, "Hey bro." "Hey everyone," the yellow toad said. Naruto and Jiraiya both said, "Hey everyone. I apologize, I haven't met you yet. Could you tell me your name?" To the yellow toad, Naruto said.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.